Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session of the American Riichi Mahjong League. We're going to start off with some B1 games and probably jump into A1 later. As you see here, we have a B1 table with Edwin, Matthias, Travis, and Michael. So I am joined by Blaine. How are you doing?
Arthur, sorry, Korak. That's right, we call you Korak here.
I can go with either, but yeah, generally Korak.
It's real chill in the air in most of the country tonight, especially here in sunny Oklahoma. But we're here to bring the fire with action all over the ARML tonight.
Yeah, so as mentioned, we have a B1 matchup here. Now, you see in the stats in the top right are from last season. Mike McLeod took a hiatus. We allow that all the time. You'll see people jumping in and out rather than feeling hard committed. But when you're ready to go, you set up and play. And so the other thing that jumps out is Matthias ended up basically dominating the B2 division last season. Edwin managed to squeak by and got a promotion. And Travis, you see, he doesn't have a huge difference between that win and deal in percentage, but I believe was in B1 last season.
I think he was. I remember being at table with all three of these players last season.
Well, in the launch show, I mentioned that I expected Mike McLeod to come out of this group, and while not looking so great now, we are only 2 games into the season.
Yeah, anything can happen here, as you can see in the middle. Not a lot of there's some players that haven't even played yet, and that'll probably be taken this weekend. They'll be playing
Yes,
their
because
games.
we are getting close to the end of session one. But on a different story, completely unrelated, I'd like to give a shout out to Brett from B3. He'd been organizing basically a negative gang, people who are expecting to do really badly, fighting for their own pride, and has actually ended up with a positive score this session. So always good to see that people that think they're going to do poorly and then just put it together
Mm-hmm.
and have a good session, looking pretty good right now.
Well, you see, that's the one rule of the negative gang. You gaff to get out of it.
Yeah, that is the goal. But here we have East One. Matthias is our dealer here with a whole lot of disconnected garbage. Do you just go Kokoshi? That first discard suggests there's either going to be a Honitsu or a Kokoshi attempt. On the right, we have Mike McLeod. Decent shapes, I guess. Nothing particularly good, but you can see the structures coming together. You have your 5 blocks, but you're going to keep that door. I mean, 1, 2, 3, Sunshu. Across the way, looks like an Itsu and Mon. Already have the nice little completed shape with a pair and a run with the strange 3, 4, 4, 4, 5 shape. And on the left, just looks like a standard pin food type hand. You do have a Dora, so you don't need anything fancy there.
Taking a look at Matthias's hand, picking up that 9-so, another step towards that Kokoshi, and seems to be favoring it, but is also favoring the Sozu, so we could be seeing a Honitsu, especially with that pickup and the reach just called by Edwin.
Yeah, Ricci, Dora, or Dora 2. Of course, we know the 4s are very unlikely to come out here as they fit quite nicely into Travis's hand across the way, but we'll be drawing to effectively the last 1 pin. Because it is Dora, it's obviously the one you would prefer, but you'd like more outs than this, especially this really early turn 4 Ricci.
Mm-hmm. It looks like Matthias is going to commit to this Kokoshi now, which means that 1 pin is not likely to come out.
Well, even if he didn't commit to it, I think the standard folding would suggest you're never throwing the Dora here.
That's true.
Ooh, now that 5 pin may end up causing some problems for Travis later. Because you may end up getting a Peiko here, and then that 4 could come out.
Right.
Or it could have turned into Chi Toy, which would also cause the 4 to come out.
Mm. Otherwise, those 4s are locked, but that is the one case.
Yeah, you might even get the big Rion Peiko temptation. Ooh,
Yeah, because you got some action
interesting
in the
now.
Manzu as well. That's a good point.
Could even go Suanko now with these shape. Very interesting structure. And speaking of interesting structure, we now have Kokushi Ishan 10 for Matthias.
Ooh. One heck of a way to jumpstart the season.
Now, yeah, it's just a full push, not even going with the standard 5-so here, which would be your Nakasuji. But is just going all out, pushing anything. And
Yep, there goes the south.
yeah.
つも
Oh, the
the
last
6-1.
one is drawn. Ricci Sumo Door 2. And the first
Incredible.
strike comes from Edwin, and that's a Mungon.
8,000 points plus the stick back for 9,000.
And we have Mike as the next dealer here. Has decent shapes everywhere. We're looking for that 345 Sanshoku, or with that 5 Pandora, of course. On the right, I don't know. Like, there are so many ways that hand could develop. I'm not sure how to read it yet. It just
kinda
looks
just have to
cheap
draw
and
for
kind
that
of
one.
awkward. Yeah. You'd love to add something in Mon, maybe like an Ipeco, but the shapes are kind of disconnected. Although if you just draw in your Penchon, that'll fix things quickly. Across the way, that also looks like a fairly cheap hand. Maybe there's a 567 Sanshoku, but that makes it slightly less likely. Okay, just gives up on it. I think I would have kept that 7-pin for now. Try and at least keep some options open. And on the
Yes.
left, that looks like a pretty standard Pinfu type hand, but again, just not much value.
Yeah, the table seems to be disregarding the Dora. At least Math Star and Edwin seem to be doing that with that 7-pin drop. But Michael now picking up a meld with the Dora.
Yes, looking here, ideally to get the open Sanshoku and the double East and Adora, and there's your Mungon. Hey, you see the kind of a hard commit to it, cutting the 7 here. Not the efficient cut, but definitely allows you to call for value, and if you get the Sanshoku, even better.
Gutsy move as dealer, I must say.
Well, I think it's really wants to keep that Sanshoku open.
Right. Definitely where your value is going to come from here.
You have a Dama on the right, but with no Yaku.
1
Let's see. Just waiting on the Tuso there. We see one discarded and one just picked up.
Matthias actually takes the Kanchan way to utilize the Dora, although I feel if you're going to do that, you don't want to throw that early Dora. I'd love the Shampoo here.
Well, he didn't pick up Roan on the Tuso.
Well, yeah, there was the Yaku on the right. So, oh, there's your 6.
Right. Oh, there it is.
Ricci Dora. And the
Aura.
Orador, and that turns into a decent sized hand of 5200 and kind of close the gap a little bit with Edwin.
Oh, it's effectively
And
a
we move
whole new
to
match with East 3.
East 3. Dealer has, well, again, everything's kind of disconnected. Anytime you see 2-5, 2-5, and 5-8, you're not thrilled with it. On the right, though, that looks a lot better. Ricci, Pinfu, Tanya, Dora, maybe even a 567 or 456 Sanshoku in there, but the fun hand is the one across the way.
Oh,
Ooh, now you're even thinking possible Daisangen, yeah.
I mean, at the very least. Well, the white's already been dropped. Doesn't mean it's done, but it does make it a little bit harder.
Yeah, you need to draw the next one. Of course, even if it doesn't come together, the Chitoitsu Honitsu would be perfectly fine.
Or even
And
Chitoi Daisangen. Or, did I get that right? Shosangen is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, you can't get Chitoi with Shosangen, but you could get Toi Shosangen.
Oh, right. Shinitsu, I think I was. No, Honitsu.
Honitsu, and meanwhile, on the left, we have an Ishunten hand with 2 Dora. Ooh,
yeah,
speaking of that, well, there's Tempai on the left, and doesn't want it. Goes for the greed. I like this play. You have such a wide acceptance here.
Yeah.
You don't have to accept that Ricci Dora.
We're only just getting into the first row, too. You got plenty of opportunity.
And there's your call. Ooh, that is the greedy play. Could have just taken the Tempai, but wants the Daisangen chance.
All comes down to where that white dragon is. And the red while you're at it.
Could even call this for Tempai, but doesn't want it.
Dealer's hand is starting to come together now with the
Oh, well, there's your Toi across the way. Yeah, you just have to take this. Toi, Honitsu, Hatsu, and if the Chun is what is one, it will be Hanemon. Also, possibly Sun Uncle if you draw it yourself.
Mhm. As I was saying, the dealer here has a hand coming together
Oh,
nicely,
there it
but there's
is.
the tune.
That's
Gonna have
going
to
to be a
stop there.
Hanemon.
Wow. Matthias taking a huge lead here.
Back-to-back
Well,
hands, and that's certainly the bigger of the two. We move to East 4 now.
moving
Got a
right
little
along.
peek at that hand on the left with double Yaku High, which is going to be very tempting. And I assume it's going to be called immediately, and it is.
There you go.
Dealer's hand, like maybe Junchan, you're a long way off. On the right, we have the Hatsu pair, and definitely looking for the Honitsu here. You also have a Dora, so there's your Mongon across the way. 678 Sanchoku seems to be the path, but you have that 9, so it's hard to get rid of. And as mentioned on the left, we have double Yaku High, and not much else. We don't need much else.
Just need to get yourself back above 30K and get some momentum to head into the half. Dealer, meanwhile, well, it seems to be going away from Junchan, trying to just find probably just a standard reach at this point, something efficient.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing here is Travis is going for a little more greed, shifting for the Honitsu, cutting the 478.
Other call
With
from
headless,
Matthias now.
yeah, Matthias also. I definitely agree with that one. You just take your Ishanten that uses the Honitsu over the slightly better shaped Ishanten that doesn't. You'd really like to win more than 1,000 or 2,000 with this hand.
Definitely on track for that now.
And that
Just
White
2 to 5
Dragon
get
is being
cut here.
held in Edwin's hand. The instant that comes out, the hand on the left will get very dangerous. We have Tempai on the right.
Ooh,
This is already Mongon, either side.
so you need a 5 or an 8 mon to finish. 1 8 mon in the
8,
hand
yeah,
across, and a
and
5
3
mon
5
discarded.
mon
Plenty
to
of
4 out.
opportunity here. Shun's out of Edwin's hand now, but Tenpai called across the table, or Ricci rather.
Ricci with the Dora Tonki weight. Will
That's
be
going
Ricci
on.
Tanya Dora 2. I don't see any reason that Matthias would fold here. Travis is like, well, if I get Tempai, I'm going to push this 6, but until then, we'll hold off.
What do you do as Edwin here? Seems to be getting safe discards right now.
Yeah, I'm getting out of here. This is not worth fighting for me. The shapes are just so far back.
Especially
Oh, well, there's your Tempai on the left.
Ooh.
Not really the one you wanted. The shapes aren't great, but oh, there's the 5. That'll deal into another Mongon. Kind of a rough start here for Mike.
Ouch.
Matthias is just rolling.
Matthias rolling. Meanwhile, Mike in danger of dropping below 0 if another Mongon like that happens, but we're just getting into the half, so anything can happen.
Well, look at the Matthias is starting in here. The Yaku High and 2 Dora, pretty good shapes everywhere. Definitely the favorite to win this hand, even without looking at anyone else. On the right, you have I don't know, maybe Chanta. You have the 5-8 in 2 suits. Just feels slow overall. Across the way, Hatsu pair, and not too much else. May just be a call and go type hand. And on the left, maybe Itsu in Mon, but not much else there either. Oh, a third Dora. I do not like that 9 so cut because that actually connected to the your now loose 7 so.
Yeah,
it's actually a pretty big efficiency hit. You should be cutting the East here. You could make an argument for the 8 Mon maybe, but you already have your Mongons. So I think the East is the proper cut.
And not the 4 pin?
Well, the 4 still has a lot of things to connect to it. If you have to choose between a floater 8 and a floater 4, you'll generally take the 4.
Gotcha. Well, he's going to cut the 8 here. And call south.
Yeah, and see, right now, I'd love to, instead of having this 3 5 6 7 7, you could have a 5 6 7 7 9. And then if the 8 comes, you cut the 5, which we know now would deal in, but you would look at it as a 3-sided Tempai.
Gotcha. When he picks up
Well,
the
3
6
so
now, that's going to help
should
with the
definitely
5.
come out. Okay, locks the 3 in.
Really just nice draws from Matthias this round. He's really getting lucky.
Well, I also have to pay attention to Travis, who says that one Han hand, which will shut this down, but has to finish it.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be Tempai for dealer here, waiting on 4 mon, 7 mon.
See, a
And
lot of the
that's a
table line.
surprise. And Mike says, I dealt in again, but he may look at the logs here and go, well, I dealt into the cheap one, so that wasn't as bad as I thought.
Yep. And you're dealer now, so you have a chance to start climbing here.
Pretty good starting in here. Not a great one because you don't have much value, but looks like a potential Ricci, Pinfu, Tanyao. Of course, that 1 mon could cheapen this significantly. On the right, we have Tanya type hand. You're going to want to cut the 9 mon and then probably the 9 pin because you have 2 door. You just love to go Tanya with this. Across the way, well, you're getting a whole bunch of pairs. The question is, how much do you hedge towards the Shinitsu? You do have that door you want to keep, so maybe going Chitoi. And on the left, we see the Call of the East, which is not a Yakuhai, so definitely locking in the Honitsu or Itsu.
Mm-hmm.
I think you
Gonna
just
have to.
decide later whether you end up on the Itsu and then the Dora, whether you draw another one or not. Oh, just cuts
There
the
goes
8
the
now.
Dora.
That's a very aggressive play. I insta-pwn this if I'm Travis.
And there you go.
Yeah,
Easy
you're now
route to
Ishan 10
Tanya.
and everyone should be scared of you.
Oh, yes. All you need to do is cut the 9 pin. You got Tanya almost ready to go.
Oh, that's a nice, really nice shape upgrade there with that 4. So you do have to worry about Furry 10 a bit, but oh, is that Tempai? No, it's not. It's a really awkward shape, but it's not Tempai.
Yeah. If you pick up the 5, then you'd have an
Well, there
open
you go.
Mipoko
You
like
call this
that.
one. This should be a call with the 4-6 and then cut the
There you
2.
go. Now
Yeah.
Tenpai.
Waiting on
Waiting on the
4
4
so,
second.
7 so. The last 4 so is locked in a hand, but there are 3 7 so left. And of course, it is a Tonki. You can switch it fairly easily.
But you like that open shape. Meanwhile, the dealer kind of having some shape issues here. Not an optimal shape, but it is coming together.
Well,
That
now
really comes
Tempai.
together. 5 or the 8 mon to finish this hand. We see both of them in the hand on the left. Not likely to come out for that Honitsu, though. Close.
Yeah,
with
dealers
4.
Tempai with Ricci Haku. Oh, there's a pawn on the left. Just going for the. Oh, no!
Gonna have to drop the 7. Dealing
And
in, but
just
Tanya Dora 3.
it keeps getting worse for Mike. Now in the negatives already,
Mm.
dealing into another Mongon. And another thing you have to consider is you're now sub-zero, but everyone else is above 30,000, so you'd be being at that minus 20. So you're in another situation. You want to mitigate the damage, at least try and pull someone else down below 30,000. We have
You don't
dealer
have a
here
lot
with
of
what.
time to do it.
Yeah, it's east. It's south 3 now. Dealer has what looks to be, I don't know, Junchan seems to be your best choice with that 8 mon pair. Hard to do so, but you could turn it into a 789 Sanshoku with Junchan. On the right, you have a couple loose pairs. That's one where it's not very high in Shanten, fairly close to Tempai, but there's just no value. Of course, you draw a door, that fixes your problem nicely. Now you even have a potential path for Itsu across the way. You have 3 Doras, so this is very straightforward. Get your Ricci in as quickly as possible. But speaking of Tempai, there's one on the left. Doesn't want to take the Kanchan Ricci Dora 6-mon weight. So look to upgrade that probably to some sort of Ipeco.
You just need some more points right now, just wherever you can get them. But it's an awkward situation where you don't want to wait too long and then have no points added to your score.
Right. Well, Travis upgrades to Ishan 10 would just be Ricci Nomi. And now we see Edwin cutting the 4 from the pair there. And that's going to be Tempai. This is a nasty little weight on the Chun and 9-mon. Would be Ricci Nomi if one on the 9-mon, or Ricci Chun, of course, if the Chun comes out.
And it's already been cut once, so it looks a little bit safe.
Yeah, but that means there's only one in the wall. So the big question is, where is it? Oh, that maybe just be a sumo. Yeah, Mike says, I don't really want this, but I think I have to take it.
Gets him back to 0. That's a
0
plus.
flat, but doesn't knock Edwin under 30,000. Has some chances to do it now, though. And Edwin's looking at a chance to get second. Of course, has had a reputation of those positive thirds and is in that situation now. But starting with the dealer hand here, maybe a 2-3-4 Sanshoku, Tanyao. But the shapes aren't great. You need so many specific tiles pulled together. The 7-mon really opens the hand up, though. On the right, looks like a Pinfu type hand as well, but again, feels kind of slow. If the 3-pin comes, then it gets a lot better. Across the way, looks like a 789 Sanshogu. And definitely that 4-so cut. The question is, can you upgrade this to also include Junchan on the left? I don't know, maybe a 678 Sanshoku, but that feels really slow.
Yeah, I was looking at that hand and wondering how do you make something out of that? And well, he's just starting by discarding the honors and seeing what he draws. Not a
Yeah, I
bad
think you're
strategy.
just. I think I'd even call this 7, because I don't think there's much defense potential in his hand, and the best value is still just your 1,000. Try and lock in second place here.
Well, Edwin is getting some pretty interesting looking blocks here in this dealer hand.
Evan's looking for a chance to go Itsu. Could even call this and just go for Tanyao. Yeah,
That's what he
takes the
does.
shunt in here for Tanyao only.
Just wondering if we were going to see another one of his famous Cheetoy runs, but not quite with this. Have some pairs, but not so many.
Not quite enough. Edwin's definitely known for preferring Cheetoy in situations where other people, specifically people like me, will go, "What?" Oh, there's a 7, so you now have a hand that's really developing towards that 678 Sanshoku. We still need some shapes in pin to be able to pull it together. For
Yeah.
Travis on the left.
And
Ooh, that
not too
5 is
much,
actually an annoying draw because you could end up 4-10 here.
Yeah, I would give you a possible 3-sided weight to Tenpai with.
And if you draw a 2 or 5, so I don't even mind cutting the 2-mon. Just saying I'll take the non 4-10 Shampoo here.
Good idea there.
Well, now's the decision time. You have to take it. And yeah, for that exact reason, says we'll just take the Shampoo here, even as awkward as it is.
Give him some quick insurance here to stay above 30K. As we get
And
Ricci
on the
from
right,
Matthias.
yeah, that is a Ricci Pinfu, no Dora. But Sumo would
Pinfu?
be.
I don't think that's Pinfu. There's a triple.
Yes, it is. Well, it's a 4, 5, 6,
Oh,
7,
I
8,
see
9,
now.
9, 9.
An optical illusion Pinfu.
Well, this is one where, as they say, you always have to. Oh, there's the Sumo. Ricci Sumo Pinfu. No Aura, so that allows Edwin to stay at 30,000. It counts as above. That's actually a big deal. And so the final results are going to be Matthias picking up another win there at the end with 39.4. Travis with an 11.3. Edwin with a flat 0. And Mike McLeod taking the bulk of the hit here with minus 50.7.
But there you go, Saki fans. Edwin hit with the 0. Otherwise,
yes, as I mentioned earlier, Edwin did this so many times the last couple seasons. Kind of earned a reputation for it, these positive thirds. Oh, this time isn't even a positive third. It's just a neutral third.
Say right on par third, literally. But great score from Matthias. You see the leaderboard is now updated with the new standings. Matthias cementing in that second. Still rather close, actually, with Andrew and Cruz. Edwin also not too far behind. We could even see them trade off in this next game. And Travis knocking on the door for the promotion zone. Michael, meanwhile, dropping down, but it's still early. You can still dig yourself out pretty quickly.
You certainly can. And Mike's one of those players that can be very volatile. You'll occasionally drop way down and you'll occasionally just roll. So I don't expect him to stay down here at minus 117, but There's a long season ahead of us.
Absolutely. Goes all the way to the end of the year, just about.
But as you can see, we will be starting any second here. And boy, I called that well.
Commentator's blessing.
The dealer here has a Dora, Hatsu pair. I think this should call and go because the rest of the shapes here are terrible. On the right, I mean, maybe you can get an Itsu in either of those suits, but I think you just play standard efficiency. Across the way, you already have two Onko. So the question is, can you turn this into a Su Onko? It's already Sun Onko.
Third Onko.
You have to start seriously thinking about it now. And on the left, we have the Pei pair, which is a Yaku. The rest of the shapes aren't great, so I think that's also just a call and go hand. Speaking of call and go, Travis opens with a one pin pwn. Doesn't necessarily have a pair here now, and you can't switch to Honitsu now. So I think that call actually slows his hand down a bit.
You do still have the Hatsu, but
well, that's your Yaku probably. Well, you're going to call that for certain.
That's true, yeah.
May just end up going Dorotanki with this. Fishing for a new head is one of the easiest things to do in Mahjong. But it just, the rest of these shapes are just so awkward.
Meanwhile, Edwin playing Find a Pair with his last three tiles there. Kind of an awkward situation to be in, especially when you have all that bold progress starting at front. You just kind of have to figure a way forward to the last Onko.
Well, and this is another thing. We do call the one pin, and immediately for the rest of the tapes to make them think you probably have a bunch of Dora. Here, it's actually just one, and that'll fit in nicely to the hand with that 3-so. But no one else can think the shape of your hand is that bad.
And he's going to hold on to that third Hatsu that Travis.
Okay, there we go. That 7-1 really helps. Now Ishan 10. Looking for that Hatsu, and then we'll be waiting on 3-6.
One Hatsu left unaccounted for. While Matthias getting rather close. Some good shapes there. Two pairs in a sequence.
Oh, there's the second pair in the discards of Edwin. Could actually be Stuonko Tempai right now.
That's a shame. You hate to see it.
And there's finally we get that call on the left.
That'll give him a north.
Yeah, Matthias. Well, the rest of the shapes aren't great there. And then we have a Ricci on the right. That is Ricci Nomi waiting on 7-so.
Oh,
that's an easy call. You not only break the Apatsu, you get your Tempai yourself. Instead, decides to pass. Plays a little defensively.
But now Edwin.
We have Tempai across the way, waiting on 3-so for Sananko Dora.
Great place to be in. Waiting on the Dora indicator there, though. And the 3s look locked up in these hands at the moment.
Can't see it coming out from anyone at this point.
It's all down to the last 10
tiles.
Could
see the Tempai call here by Travis. Decides not to. Doesn't want to throw this 3-pin.
Good pick up from Matthias. Well, not quite.
Well, and I have another choice for Travis. This time just shoves it. Of course, we know that Hatsu's never coming out.
That's right.
Could switch here and play the 2, but then you'd be Furi 10.
I think it's just important to get into Tenpai for the end of the hand here, but this 7...
Wouldn't deal in. There is no Yaku.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And we'll just have 3 players Tempai, and they look at the table and go, oh, that's kind of scary. And had no idea what Ed would actually started that hand with.
Yeah. It's one of those times where, again, your high pie is just incredible, but then it just stalls when the game actually starts.
So we have another East 1. Dealer has a Tanya type hand. Great shape and so here. On the right, wow, look at those. Do you just go Toy? I think you'd sell at Toy here. The 5 pin's kind of an awkward tile to pull in, but the rest of it, yeah, when you're throwing the 6 Mon back, you're not thinking of anything else. Maybe hedging Honitsu, but that'd be it. Speaking of Honitsu, across the way, it looks like a Mon Honitsu, maybe Itsu in there as well. And anytime you're in the Dora suit, you're a little more flexible on what you're going to take. On the left, there's our Haku Call on the right. Seems to be pushing towards Toy Toy. And on the left, we have not quite. Well, I look at those and I'm just not liking any of the shapes. No matter what you do, you're likely to end up on that awkward 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, and then a pair elsewhere. So one of those Champon with two of your outs dead already.
Especially when you're up against these kind of shapes. I don't really see that converting.
Yeah, there's our Tempai on the right, waiting on the 6-0, but 6-0 is dead, though it may come out right here for Matthias. I'm going to go ahead and float it for another turn or two, but I don't see any way that doesn't come out. The question is, do you pass it or do you get greedy?
Gonna hang on to it a little bit longer.
That's an easy
Well,
cheese,
Edwin,
yeah.
calling for that Honitsu. Could be Chinitsu now.
Chinitsu at this point,
Yeah.
especially if you're safe to. Oh, and that's easy call. There's the 9.
There we go.
That is a
Tenpai.
3-sided weight for Chinitsu Dora.
1, 4, and 7?
Yeah, 1, 4, 7. Oh, and there's another Dora. How do you want to play this now? Yeah, just throws the Dora
get too
back.
greedy.
Figures it's Hanemon either way. The problem is, I believe the 1 is dead, and the 4 is also dead. You're just waiting on the 7. So maybe could have switched the weight. On the right, we have that Tempai for Toy Toy upgraded and a Con for Morphu.
Waiting on the 7 and 8, so there.
Both are pretty close to live. There is 1 7 in hand. Oh, there's the 8.
Ooh.
And speaking of Chinitsu shifts.
Ooh, there we go. Travis going for it now.
There's the 6. You knew it was eventually going to come out, but held it long enough for it to be safe. I think you have to call this. You just cheat with the 7 8, cut the 3. That's what is done. Yeah, it takes the pawn. This is a very wide shape. You're really looking to pull that Tuso in, though. Oh, there's the 7. But I think that fits into the hand at least reasonably well. Might see 3. Oh, no. Takes the Karagiri and deals into the Chinitsu Dora Hanemon.
Ooh. Tough break there, but a great break for Edwin.
Yeah, Edwin. Well, that's always the issue with Honitsu and the Dora suit is occasionally turned into Chinitsu, and then just one of those Dora will boost you to that Hanemon.
Just snowballs very quickly.
And also pick up the 1300 that's in the pot. So nice little win there for Edwin. We move to East 2. Dealer has, mediocre shapes everywhere. Nothing's good. Nothing's particularly terrible. You can always draw Dora. On the right, well, you're definitely hoping to turn that into Chinitsu. Across the way, we already have Tempai, though, waiting on the Shah. That is the wrong side. It does not have a Yaku. The 9 cannot win. Now, you can't pawn it and cut the 3, 4, 5. And that's going to be the play here. That is a full greed play. And I don't mind it that much. You're so early in the hand that even cutting a full run is doable.
Yeah, take everybody by surprise. Especially this early in the game as well. Just get some points, start some momentum going.
And on the left, I don't know, maybe 789, 678 Sunshuku. Oh, there's your West. This is going to definitely cut the 5. Tempai now on the 2 Mon. I think I would have rather waited on the South here.
Yeah. Not a great wait, but it's a wait.
Well, there are a lot of upgrades. The problem is any one of those upgrades also would have been an upgrade if you had the South out. And 1 cut South seems like a great wait. And you would even have had a chance to get to Chanta if you end up drawing the last 9 Mon.
5 or a 9 Mon, if drawn, would, well, the 9 Mon's out, but...
Yeah, that'd be the problem. And there's the last 9, and you can't call that. It doesn't help you at all.
No.
Oh, and there's the South. I definitely, let's see, would switching to the Hatsu have been an upgrade? I think it would have. Even with 2 out, I think I like it better than this 2 Mon wait.
Yeah. At least it happened.
Well,
There's
that's
the
an
8
easy
now.
switch. Yeah, this is not a
Mm,
question. I'm absolutely
yeah.
cutting the 2 here.
There you go. So the 8 and the 5 now.
Yes, and we see
Best case
dealer has a
scenario for sure.
5. There's a 5 on the right, and there's 1 8 discarded. So
Mhm.
2 5s and 1 8.
Only problem is you got just about every tile but the Dora in this hand now.
And Travis doesn't want to shove that 4 on. That will look pretty terrifying, especially with that 2 having come. But now as Tempai, if you dare push it, and we'll just take the Dama here, waiting on 4 7 mon. Ooh, and that's
4
a
tiles
3-sided
remaining,
wait
though.
if you take it. You have to
There's the
push the
reach.
4 7. Okay, I'll just take the Courier Ricci. Waiting on that 4 7. Looking for the Apatsu, but it is called, so that's not going to happen.
And this will be the end.
And we're going to see 3 players. Yeah, Edwin couldn't get there, but everyone else was there. And Mon was the suit to pay attention to for sure that hand.
Absolutely.
Dealer has. Yeah, dealer here has kind of an awkward shape because the tile you really want to cut here is the 1 mon and just go Tanya, but 1 mon's Dora.
Yeah.
So there are actually a whole bunch of ways to play a hand like this. On the right, we see.
And it's relevant.
Yeah, if you pick up the 2, then you don't have to think too much about it. On the right, looks like an Itsu type shape in pin. Decent everywhere. Maybe a 3 4 5 or 2 3 4 Sanshigu, but I think you're just going Itsu until you see otherwise. Across the way, well, that 3 helps immensely. Similarly, just feels like you play straight efficiency. Maybe an Itsu, but gives that up now. I don't particularly blame Matthias there. On the left, we have the Chun pair. Shapes are okay, not great. You really need that 7 pin to pull together, but you'll take whatever you can get.
The 6 mon will help.
Yeah, it does complete that mon shape, but the choke point in the hand is 4 pin or 7 pin. Could even call the 6 there.
I see similar struggles in the dealer's hand. Maybe not quite as much.
I don't really like cutting the 9 pin there because that seems a lot easier to call. Although you are seeing Matthias's discards and wondering if he's going Kokushi.
Yeah, that's a good point. Except for the Hatsu. No other
Ooh, there's a
terminals are
nice
on
little
this.
draw for Mike. Pulls in a second Dora. The problem is now you have 3 pairs and you can't really call them. I might even cut the 7 8 and floated Cheetoy as an option.
Good pickup for the dealer here.
Yeah, you definitely cut one of your pairs now. It will actually be Ishan 10 now, looking for that 6 9 and either the Tuso or the 1 mon.
Thias opting not to go for Ipeko if he would have held on to that 8, but yeah, that would really set the hand back.
Well, you're just looking for that Ricci Dora. And speaking of Ricci, there's one on the left. And there's our chase. So let's look at these and break them up. The 6, there are none left. The Chun, there are 2 left. That would be Ricci Chun for Travis. And dealer's looking for the 1 mon Tuso. Tuso has 1 left, and the 1 mon Dora has 1 left. So it's a 2 versus 2. But especially if dealer gets that Dora, that's a Mungon right there.
Pretty even match with even scores. And 24 tiles to go. Good chance one of those pops out.
Well, there's your Dora, and I don't think that's ever coming out.
Wow, way too sus.
So effectively a 2 versus 1 at this point. Question is, where are the Chun? And there's no guarantee the Chun would come out. Oh, Tempai across the way. I think you just hit the button.
There you go.
3-player reach. Ricci Dora on that 1-4. And 1-4 looks really good here. Now that Chun's going to be scary, especially when you have a 3rd person in reach. Oh, the Dora!
Oh, no!
Wow!
Ouch.
Yeah, says, well, it just sued you to dealer. Who would be waiting on Dora? And there's your answer.
Hmm. That's one you will review in the log later on and
Yeah, I
rethink some
think that was
strategies.
I think that was a mistake. Now I'd have to look back at the hand to see what was better, but I'm never throwing Dora against three players in
Hmm.
Richu unless I'm 100% sure.
Especially
Regardless,
a
though, we have
dealer,
another.
Ricci.
Yeah, well, you don't know that it's dealer, but it's Dora. It's East 2-2. Dealer has a bunch of pairs. Now you're thinking Chi potentially Peiko in Mon. Tanya, of course. On the right, we see Pinfu, Tanyao. You do have that one Mon to take care of eventually. Across the way, the Shah is called. That's just an Ishanten now for the 1000. Try to get this hand over with. On the left, I don't know. There's just not much there. You have two Dora, and that's it. And speaking of quick
Another
hands,
pair
across the
here.
way, Matthias is waiting on that 7 pin now for just
And
the Shah.
and also speaking of quick hands, Ishanten for Chitoy now for the dealer. Just need to find one pair out of this 2-so, 2-mon, 3-mon. Calls the Pone.
Ooh, interesting call in the 4 there. Going for the Toy Tanyao. I don't know if that
Hmm.
speeds his hand up any, though. Well, okay, if the
Yeah.
8 comes,
Oh.
then you can at least think about it.
Yeah.
We see
The
across the
gutsy
way, the
move.
shape has been upgraded, but
And
it's
even
not like the weight's that much better.
keeping the 9 pin, so not worrying about Tanyao now, unless he puts it back.
Once you keep the 2, you have no reason to. Once you've cut the 3, there's no reason to keep the 2 around. So that's just a safety tile, at least relatively safe. But I think this 5 comes out. It does.
Mm. Gutsy play doesn't quite pay off, though. Luckily, not dealing in
Well,
too much there.
yeah, if the hand isn't working the way you want it to, you try and force something to happen. And not a big hit anyway. So you just move on. It's East 3. Dealer has not much. I mean, you see the shapes, but there's zero value. And anytime you have Penchon, where to complete you need the Dora indicator, it feels really bad because everyone wants that tile so badly.
Flip side,
On
though,
the
you're just a notch below 30k, so you don't need a lot of value right now.
Yeah, and it's East 3. You have plenty of time here. On the right, maybe an Itsu in pin, but I think you take anything you can get. I might even just call for Tanya because I don't like any of these shapes. Across the way, maybe an Ipeco in pin, maybe an Honitsu, but the fastest hand is the one on the left. Probably going to try and go for the Honitsu here. But if you're just given the
Oh,
5, I
never
guess you
mind.
just take it.
For a quick East Nomi
It would
at this
just be
point.
East, although you have the 5, so you're looking to pull it a Dora. Ooh, nice fill in there on the right. Now Ishanten for Tanyao.
Just need to drop the 1-so.
And even if you draw the 3, so you're fine with it. It's not your
And
ideal tile, but you take
mhm.
the Tempai.
Travis making progress on
Oh, there's our
Honitsu
Tempai on the
here.
right. I
Oh,
assume it's going to be Ricci, and it is. Ricci Tanya waiting on 2-so 3-pin.
the 2-so
And
just picked up.
yeah, I think that's eventually going to come out, but you have a couple safe tiles. Well, just Sumo.
Mm, doesn't need to
Ricci,
come out.
Apatsu, Sumo, Tanyao.
With an
Miura
Ura.
makes no difference, but it does get a nice little mung on there and close the gap. Third and fourth are now very close. And
News for Matthias.
Matthias is now dealer. Shapes aren't great here. Value isn't great here. But when you have 2 of the door indicator, you can always pull in a Dora fairly easily. On the right, great shapes, not too much value, but you'll take it. Across the way, looks like, I don't know, 79 Sanshoku, a long way off. Now the hand just feels like getting cheaper and cheaper. But when you have Dora, Richie Dora is good enough. On the left, we have a Hatsu pair. So I think that's very much a call and go type hand. The rest of the shapes are pretty hard to use. Maybe now a 3-4-5 Sanshoku. So you can at least think of something else now.
Oh, there's the call of the Hatsu now by Edwin.
Yeah, and Edwin is looking for probably the Sanshoku here. Well, not anymore. He's still going for the cheap hand. Will just be 2,000, but would be an improvement over where you are now.
When the place above you is just a few thousand away, it's sometimes worth it. But you do have some
Interesting.
scary
Travis
shapes you're going up
cuts the
against.
9-pin pair.
Hmm.
I think I normally cut either the 8-9 mon or the 5-so there, but instead says I'll get a pair later.
Interesting. Possibly from one of those, but good shapes forming across in the
That's
Manzu.
Tempai for Edwin if he sees it, but he doesn't.
Oh.
If you cut the east, you're actually waiting on the 6 mon. That is a mistake.
That's not an upgrade in value, so you're probably right.
Tempai across the way. I definitely am going to just take the Ricci there. It's not a great wait. You're waiting on the door indicator as well, but what else are you going to do with this hand?
I mean, it's 6 and... Looking at it wrong. It's just
it's just the 6. Just the 6. So 2 players. You didn't like just that 6-mon wait. But I can at least see an argument for Dama, especially in first place here. But I think Edwin will look at that a lot and go, oops.
Also like the
That
6.
is, the dealer is not Tempai yet, but that hand is developing quite nicely. Also keeping the option open for Cheeto or even Rian Peiko.
Oh, yeah. Rian Peiko in the same suit, but not quite.
Well, there's your Cheeto. You just take it here. I would cut the 7 and Dama. There is no... The 2-pin just came out.
He's going to cut the 7, but reach instead. On the last 12 tiles.
This Ricci because the 2, you see 2 of them out. There's only 1 left in the wall. Oh, and there's that 6 mon. Yeah, Edwin should have won this hand here.
But there's the
There's
2 mon,
2,
but it's not
it'd be
Yaku.
Furi-10. Furi-10.
Furi-10, you're right, yeah.
You have to just push the 1 here. You can't throw the door. I think you just have to fold.
Yeah.
That's just a terrible tile.
Keep pushing the 2s out.
A bit unfortunate there for Mike. We do get the 2 players Tempai. I'm kind of curious where that 2-pin was. But whatever. We move to East 4-1. Dealer has a much better starting hand here. Looks like a Pinfu Tanyao type hand. Distant Itsu and So, but anything you get, you're going to take. On the right, shapes aren't great. Value isn't great. Don't like the hand that much. But you see what the shapes are. Maybe a 6-8 Sanshoku is your best path. Across the way, there's a Hatsu pair up. So, ooh, interesting. Cutting the 7 So. Definitely a way to hedge for Cheetoy, but the 7 just connects to so many things. On the left, we have maybe Itsu in pin. Great shapes everywhere, though.
Dealer's hand picking up some more pairs here.
And as mentioned, across the way, it looks like Mike's going Cheetoy, already Ishan 10 for it. Well, now it could just be a regular hand. And yeah, it just cuts the 5 So there.
Go for a sweet double Yakuhai, perhaps. You have to find another pair, which you've...
I mean, if you can get Toy, you have to think about it. Ooh, that's a great weight. I like keeping that East around. The 1 Cuddy seems like a great cheat toy. But yeah, will do so. Also potentially setting up a Suju trap later with the 8.
Edwin also setting up a 3-sided weight there in the Sozu, perhaps, down the road.
Yeah, basically trying to keep the door and see what happens. Didn't really believe in the Itsu. Yeah, didn't believe in the Itsu, so at that point, the rest of your shapes are going to get kind of hard to use. And if there's someone who's going to recognize a player going cheat toy, it's going to be Edwin.
And he's hanging on to the east.
Well, there we see the door just casually come out of the dealer's hand. There's our call, the south on the right. Still pretty far away, though.
And you have those weird shapes in Pinzu to try and reconcile.
The idea here is to get the Sanshoku, but once you've made that call, you have to take anything that comes.
You're close. You'd need one more in each of that set, but that's one of them right there. That 8 that just came out.
Well, it's getting late. You take anything you can get for sure at this point.
Right. 25 tiles to go.
Ishunten on the left. We'll have to cut Dora, though. Not quite ready to do that just yet.
Though I don't know, Dora. Well, Dora looked safe a few turns earlier, but anything could have happened with that north since then.
Well, now you're Tempai. You just have to take the Ricci.
There we go.
It is an ugly one, waiting on the last 2-so and last 3-so. And we'll be
Ricci
chased
for
down by the
as well.
dealer. Ricci Pinfu waiting on 4-7. And that's actually a pretty good weight. Even with that 7 that's just drawn, there's still one more 7 in the wall and 3 4s in the wall. So Matthias definitely has the advantage here, both in terms of value and number of tiles left. Ricci Pinfu by itself, not that much. When you're dealer, you don't have to worry so much about that. Interesting, the 5 could have been called for Tempai there, but doesn't want to push either the 7. Oh, there you go. Ricci Pinfu Sumo.
And
the Aura, that turns into a pretty big hand here. Matthias is back around 35,000, and you're starting to see a race between first and second, and another one between third and fourth. He has a pretty good starting end here. A floating Dora, maybe Itsu in Mon. Great shapeshifter, or maybe even a 678 Sunsku on the right. That looks like Honitsu. You do have that Dora to consider later, but most likely going to be a Honitsu. You just call double Yakuai, and that's good enough. Across the way, you have some pairs, not much else, though. Maybe you just go for the Chitoi. You're not thrilled with a hand like that. On the left, well, you could even see a Con anytime here, but doesn't like the rest of the shape, so we'll just hold it for now.
Travis calling the Chun to speed up that Honitsu.
Yeah, just sells out on the Honitsu, gets rid of the door, and of course draws the 3 a couple turns later.
That always happens. Edwin's picked up a undeclared Con of the Souths at this point.
Yeah, he had it to the start. Could just sit and wait on it forever. Just doesn't like the rest of these shapes. And I don't blame him. I think I'd Con here, though. That immediately makes his hand a lot better. There's the East. He will get called on the right. Now Tempai for Mongon on either side, waiting on the 3-6. The 3s are dead, though, and the 6s only have 2 left.
Yeah, 6 is on life support. About 42 tiles left in the wall. There's opportunity here.
Oh, no, yeah. If that 5 gets called, I guarantee that 3 eventually comes out.
Yeah.
You can see there was some hesitation by Matthias there, but if you call that you're going Tanya, you're going to have to just cut the 1-3. Or, yeah, just draw it yourself. That's always a better way. Ricci on the 8 here.
Wow.
Ricci, Pinfu, possible Ipeko. Dora 2.
8 and the 5? No, not the 5.
No, it's 4-7.
Oh, 4-7. Yeah. Seven's down. There's the 6.
Well, there's another one of the 6s, and that may get pushed.
Yeah.
You can see the hesitation. Doesn't want to do it. Wow, that is such a disciplined fold.
Very much.
Sitting there with a monster hand, even potentially Suanko, and just throws it away.
Yep.
That's a really good play. Ooh, that's going to be a call on the left. And Tempai waiting on 2-so, 9-so.
Deciding
that
not
4.
To call a Con.
Uh-oh, the 4. Wow, another great switch. Now Shampone with the 4-mon Hatsu on the right there for Travis.
Only 1 Hatsu left, and 2 of the 4s still left.
Could see a huge weight upgrade there on the left, and I don't think there's any way around this. Yeah, you just deal in, and that is the expensive event. That's going to absolutely destroy Travis. Ricci, Pinfu, Peiko, Dora 2, and 2 Aura. Wow, and Matthias picks up where it left off in the last game, over 50,000. And look at this starting hand. My goodness, another made to order Chinitsu. But it's not like that's even necessarily the best hand on the table. Look at what Edwin has there on the left.
Oh my goodness.
Pulls in a door.
Honko
Shapes
the
aren't
whites.
particularly great, but wow. Have some crazy hands here.
I mean,
And
you
you
got a
look at
Yaku locked
Travis's.
in.
Yeah, you look at Travis's hand, you're like, that's a pretty good, decent starting hand. Probably better than average. Not great, but decent. Across the way, looks like a 6-7-8 Sanshouku. That's a great starting hand as far as I'm concerned. And they're just so far behind.
Matthias, meanwhile, completing a shape in the Pinzu, only discarding Manzu. Wonder if he's thinking of just a quicker way to just bash this in, grab some more points, and keep going.
Interesting that Edwin cut the 6-mon. I'm trying to figure out what that play is. Well, okay, now you've gotten your other pair, but you're going to need to pair up. You're going to have to either call or do something with either the 5-mon or the 7-so. And there's your backfire. This could be Tempai now.
Maybe going for Toy Toy here?
That would be about the only play, but you have a Dora and a Yaku High. I think you just take what you can get.
Yeah. Still plenty of points if you don't get Toy Toy, if you just did
Well,
that.
on the right, we have Ricci Ipeco waiting on 8-mon.
Ooh. And no 8-mons found yet, other than the one in his
all
hand.
3 in the wall.
And early on, this is a great opportunity. There's one of the 8s right now going in the hand.
Oh, there, the 5-mon fits into Edwin's hands. It does end up Tempai anyway.
Go.
Waiting on the 1-4.
Except for the Dora indicator and the 2 discarded, all the rest in the wall there.
Yeah, you wouldn't be feeling bad about 5 outs at this point.
Absolutely. There's one of the ones drawn.
And it's Sotegawa to the Ricci. But goes and throws the 9 for now.
And there's the 4.
Definitely that's right near Dora up and does deal in, and that's going to be 2,600 plus the pot in the middle. And that'll put Edwin fairly close to 30,000. But honestly, if you're Matthias, that's not a bad result. There wasn't a big sumo on your dealer turn. You're still in control of this table, and your hand just wasn't budging. So I moved to South Round, and Travis is the dealer here. Whole bunch of pairs, maybe an Ipeco, maybe a Rion Peco even.
Oh, yeah.
On the
close together.
On the right, we see pairs. Is this going to be a Toitsuba hand? Well, to some extent. So you see a bunch of pairs, a Dora, couple of Haku. So that's one of the interesting situations. You call the Haku because you really want to pull in another Dora to be able to use that 9-so. And you have pairs all over the place, but we'll have to make that decision later. Across the way, that's a whole bunch of pairs. 2 Onko, actually. So could go for a much more expensive hand there. We've seen a lot of Onko in this match.
Absolutely.
And on the left, the pay pair. So probably just call and go here, especially in first place. You just want something fast.
A lot of Onkos, a lot of pairs, but looks like dealer is dropping the pairs here. At least
dealer's now Ishunten looking for that Ipeco. I think if you're going to do that, you should be cutting the 9-pin, though. Wants to get rid of the more dangerous 5 now, but I think you've lost a bunch of efficiency playing it that way. True. Ooh, there's another Dora on the left. Now Ishunten for Pay Dora 2. And we do have the Chitoy lock-in on the right.
Getting very close there. Azadora would like to pick up another one.
Well, you always want to pick up another Dora.
I mean, for the pairs in this case. And you'd hate to have to put that back, but unfortunately,
that's not going to happen.
That's not. Yeah, I was about to say. Ricci from Edwin now. Waiting on the 1 and the 4.
That is a Ricci Dora. Could simple call hand. For the Otozuka here, doesn't want to. Dealer gets that Ipeco shape they've been looking for the whole time, but the weight's dead. Oh, yeah, I think you have to call that, yeah. And actually waiting on the Genbutsu 6. The problem is the 3 and 6 are kind of out. Well, just sumo.
That always makes things easier. Picking up
Get the
6,000
reach
points.
stick in the middle, and of course 1,000, 2,000. I move to South 2. Dealer has, well, I think your East Yakuhai and Adora shapes elsewhere aren't good, so you just call anything and go. That seems to be the play. You could hedge the Honitsu, but really, I want to use the Dora in this hand, so I think I would have kept the Tuso. On the right, we have two Dora. Wow, that's a fun hand. You just wish that West were South. Because as it is, you don't really have a Yakuhai confirmed yet. Speaking of
But
Yakuhai
we got
confirmed, we
two.
see, yeah, it's two confirmed across the way. We are looking for a Dora there, but we know the Dora are pretty much locked up at this point. And on
Still
the
one left.
left, still one left. And on the left, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 Sanshoku. Actually, Ishanten already looking for a pair. You'd really like to pair up the 2-pin or the 4-pin and just take your Riichi Pinfu.
Yeah, he had a great hand out the gate there. Definitely a good consolation prize for dropping that low and losing your dealer turn there, your last dealer turn of this game.
Tough decision for Matthias. We'll go headless Ishanten here. Having cut the 9 earlier, didn't really want the 6, 6, 7, 8. I think you just cut the 6, 7 though normally, or the 7, 8. That way you could have your choice. Yeah, this is why, because now you have to take a pair, a Tonki weight, and that's just not great. I'd much rather be on the 6, 9 weight here.
Especially this one, as we can see, all the 8s are also locked up.
Speaking of stupid Tonki weights, we have one on the left as well. There's your 9. And on the left, stuck on a Tonki, doesn't want to take the Riichi Nomi, waiting on that random 4-pin.
Which was just picked up by Edwin, and that's going to fit in his hand.
You could just wait on the north here. That's not a bad wait. Would be Riichi Nomi. Instead, Dama Nomi. Will not be able to win off anyone else's discards. Would have to Suma it yourself when you're waiting without a Yaku.
That is true. But Prop might still be waiting for, I don't know, a better chance here. But it's kind of hard to see where you would get that without ducking back out of Tenpai.
Well, now I think you just throw the 8, so if you're Matthias, now you can upgrade this to 2-sided weight, and we'll do so. Waiting on the 2-5 bond. Of course, the 2 just came out. Interesting. We might see a pawn here on the right, probably trying to figure out the shape, and says, yeah, that is a good weight Tenpai 2 Dora. Let's take it.
For Tanyao 2 Dora. There we go. Yes. 3 and 6 pin will finish that handoff. And I'm seeing, well, 2 of the 6 is gone.
6 might come out here. Okay, no, switches to it for now. Doesn't want that tile.
Doing the revolving door strategy of Tonki weights here.
No, that certainly happens more than I would like to admit.
The revolving door of Tonki?
Yeah, it's just, we'll just take, I think
okay.
just take this, Riichi. Now you're waiting on the 3-6.
Yeah,
and we'll deal in and drop below 0. And Edwin says, I will take that. Not quite at 30,000, but much closer now.
And you have the dealer, so that's good.
Yeah, your dealer here is Edwin, looking for the 2-3-4 Sanshoku, also potentially Tanyao. I guess not potentially, it's pretty likely here. You really want the 3-so to pull his hand together, though. On the right, Itsu and Pen. Everything just feels so hard to use. Well, if you fill in your Penchan, that will fix things. Across the way, Chun Pair, 2 Dora, maybe Chanta as well. I don't think that's particularly difficult. I'm calling anything is going Chanta. Love to cut the 4-so fairly soon. And on the left, that's a pretty fast hand too. Potentially Riichi Pinfu, not much value there. But the fastest hand, maybe the dealer, just going for the Tanya Nomi.
Calling the 4-so right away. But there is progress.
Ishanten.
Yeah. Travis is making progress on that Chanta. Not progress there, but picking up the 3-so earlier.
Throwing the 3-so back rather than potentially using it as your pair if you draw another East or call an East. I think the 8-pin doesn't do anything for that hand. It does come out the next turn. But looking for that Sanshoku as well.
That is true. I forgot about that. Getting close to that as well, though.
That's going to be Tempai for dealer, waiting on 2-5 pin for just the 1500, but that would push Edwin over the 30K threshold we always talk about.
Very important. But not a lot of these tiles remain, except in a couple in the wall, looks like.
Ishan 10 now for Mike on the left. I think he just cut 9 pin here. Ooh, cuts the 8. Goes and gets rid of that now. And there's a door. That's an easy call. You have to call that, don't you?
Yeah, I don't see why not. You've got the tune locked in, so your hand can be anything else. Decides to pass.
Okay, so I will say this is, well, it doesn't matter. There's the sumo. I will say that really ended up hurting Travis cutting that 3 so earlier, because you cut the 8-9 ahead of time. You could have pawned that, cut the 1, and been Tempai with 3 Dora. So even those little decisions earlier in hand can come back to bite you. But regardless, the result is Edwin pulls in the sumo and gets back over 30K, is rewarded with not a particularly great hand.
Yeah.
You have all these extra floaters. Even the 9-mon doesn't really fit into this hand.
It's not even a good Kokoshi hand.
No, you have to just immediately cut the 9. Well, now it'd be a good Kokoshi hand if you'd have kept everything, but you can't possibly know that.
No.
On the right, I don't know, maybe a Pinfu type hand. You do have that door. I'd love to pair that up. Maybe a Pico and lower pin. Across the way, decent hand. You have a 5-6 and a 7-8, but not great. Also floating Dora there. Okay, just sells out on the Junchan there on the right. Of course, if you pair up the Dora, then you just go Chanta and don't have to worry about it. On the left, probably the best hand of the bunch and still not very good.
Of course, Green Dragon is the Dora. They're not really unified, though. Each 3 players each have 1. Dealer dealing with some rather difficult shapes here, it would seem. The 7 is a good
I didn't like Dealer's hand from the start, and I still don't like it. Trying to hedge a bit towards the Honitsu, but you're just so far behind. And you know you're behind at this point.
Well, that 1 mon is progress. However scant it is.
Well, there's the first real upgrade of the hand, as Mike McLeod is now Ishan 10. The question is, can you turn anything more? Ooh, Tempai on the right. We'll have to cut the Dora, but would be Junchan Nomi.
Dora's
waiting on the 9-mon. And there it is!
Oh, instantly.
And things just get worse and worse for Travis.
Oh. Sad day. I mean, he was in 6 going into this. Probably be taking a pretty deep drop, though. But look at
Matthias' starting hand. Yeah, 2 Yakuhai, callable. You could even go Honitsu. Plenty of options with this hand. On the right, looks like a 79 Sanshoku hand. And that's, you're going to need it when you're sitting at minus 5,500. But I think your goal, if you're Travis, is just figure out a way to get Edwin below 30,000. Across the way, we see a Call of the North. You can just go Achizuke. That is looking for to call the West. You could get 1,000 points to be done with this hand. And on the left, maybe a Tanyao, but not too much yet. Feels like it'd be a normally be a pretty good hand, but it just feels slow compared to the rest of the table here.
Interesting to see Travis now in the same situation that Michael was in the last game. Having to not really much of a chance to dent into even third, but can pull someone below 30K and mitigate the damage a bit. Matthias calling the Souths.
Could even chi that and cut 4-4. Yeah, we'll go for the Honit. Oh, I don't like. Let's see. So, was there a different way to do this? No, I don't think that improves your shapes. Yeah, on the call. I don't think there was any other way to do that. And I think I like passing more just because these shapes are pretty bad and you know there's 7 now. The extra value isn't a huge difference when you consider that third place is pretty far back. And even if you sumo and get that extra 4,000 and knock Edwin under 30K, it doesn't actually help you any other than the 4,000 itself. Tempai on the right for Riichi Sanshoku. Riichi on the 1 or the 4, waiting on 3 so.
I see a Sanshoku finally coming together this game after so many tries. But yeah, 3 so, only one of them in the dealer's hand right now. Other 3 still on the wall. And that 3 is
Oh,
looking
there's
just a
one of them.
little
It's
bit loose.
Suji, and we'll deal it. Oh,
Mm.
this could be huge. Ricci, Sanchiku, and Oro would knock under 30K. Doesn't. So Edwin's going to end up with another positive third place. So say he
There you go.
has a reputation of that, but the big winner is Matthias with 42.8. Will be around a plus 100. Now this session is over for this table. Mike McLeod pulls in 6.8. Not really great. You're looking for a lot more, but there's a lot of Mahjong left to play. Edwin with another positive third, and Travis taking the big fourth here. Does get that win at the very end, but can't pull anyone else under 30K. So ends up with the minus 50.3.
Mm-hmm. He'll be dropping into the demotion range, but that's really only de facto because, as you can see, still 5 players, 4 players yet to play. That's Clinton with a perfect 0 right now in this leaderboard. Not the only one in the league to have that, by the way, after a few games played. I believe someone else has that in another division.
Yeah, one positive, one big positive, one big negative ends up wiping it out.
Yeah. It's not the
And
worst
we
place to
should
be.
see some more games opening up.
Yes, I believe we're going to go to the A1.
Yeah,
Next.
probably one table.
Yeah, the division that you're in right now, and you've gotten some games in already, I see. So
We were supposed to do ours tonight as well, but someone had to reschedule. So we'll be doing the rest of our table on Sunday.
and knockdown drag out fight. We'll see your division loading up here in just a little bit as we get close to game time here in just a few seconds.
Let's see, Amy, Simon, I believe that's Zhu across the way and Luce on the left.
Yeah.
Let's see. No, it's Cause across the way. That makes more sense.
There you go. You see the picture here also has a group that hasn't played yet, including our broadcast director, Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy. And the game's underway.
And Amy starts off with not a great hand, but you have a Dora, decent shape, but you have Kanchan, Penchon. On the right, well, now you have a bunch of options here. Do you float the Honitsu? Do you go for Itsu there? Just play standard efficiency. Lots of ways to go around that. Across the way, it looks like a Pinfu type hand. Really want to pull in that 5 Mon to get the shapes together. And on the left, well, not much value. You're getting a whole bunch of pairs, though.
A lot of pairs around the table right now. Not a lot in each hand, but a lot just around the table.
Could even call the 5 here, but then you'd have that 8-9 to get rid of if you want to go Tanyao. But we'll do so.
Go. Just needs to drop the 9 pin. But we have Ricci.
Well, there's
from
our
Luce.
Chitoy on the left, and that's 8 pins actually Suji trapped.
Ooh.
For Ricci Chitoy. We see a call which will interrupt this here.
For no Ipatsu.
Yeah, no Ipatsu. We see Simon trying to go here with the South Atazuke, but not quite Tempai yet.
Amy speeding things up too with the 6 Mon call.
This should be pawned and cut the 1. Tempai on the right for South only.
It's looking for the South and the 2 Mon to finish.
This is always the problem with Chitoy is if people can chase you down, you know your weight is worse than everyone else at the table.
Very true.
That 6 is by the Dora, but having cut a 5 early and a 3 early, the 6 should look reasonably safe.
Awkward pickup for Amy.
Oh, it's terrible for Simon. Draws the wrong end of the Atazuke, so just go to the South here and try and change the Tanya later. That'll be a pawn and Tempai for Amy waiting on the 7 pin.
Drops the last south. Now waiting on 2-pin.
Well, no Yaku, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. You can pick up the 6. That would solve a lot of your problems here.
Well, and the 2 is safe. The 5 is safe. You have all sorts of options. Well, that'll
Draws
deal
the
in.
7.
That's Tanya Odora.
Good start to the
Deals
hand
in
for
for
Amy.
the 2,900 and the Ricci Sick, and Amy jumps out to the early lead here. And this time is a much better starting hand. Potentially Ricci, Pinfu, Dora, maybe an Itsu in here as well. Maybe a 79 Sanshoku, all sorts of options. On the right, we have an East pair. And the rest of the shape's kind of rough, though. Across the way, we have a Hatsu pair. And their shapes are much better. You could even keep the option open for Honitsu, but I think you take anything you can get. And on the left, the other Hatsu pair. So that's always fun. And the rest of the shapes are okay, but not great.
Meanwhile, the Sanshoku prospects for the dealer. Not going so well with 7s getting drawn and dropped.
Well, you have the option for the Sanshoku. You also have the option for the Itsu. So lots of value choices here.
Yeah. Don't need to get too discouraged about dropping a triplet of 1-so there.
Speaking of 1-so, we'll see one pulled in the hand to the left. Well, there's your Sanshoku, and there's the 7 you were worried about.
Nice pickup.
We'll be looking for the 8 eventually, and there are 3 of those left.
Yeah. Another one sitting in a similar shape over on...
Well, there's one of those 8s. As loose, well, there's your Tempai. It's an easy Ricci. Ricci Sanshoku Dora waiting on that 8-mon. And you look at that pawn and you go, what do I throw against this?
Yeah. Is that Simon H on the right, by the way?
Yeah, that's Simon.
Okay. It's the wrong Simon up in the score sheet, I think.
Yes, it is. Tempai across the way would have to reach you on the Dora indicator and just folds. And now the Hatsu looks safe. We're getting a refresh here. That's why you're seeing a bit of a lag.
There it is.
Oh, and it would have been the
no.
Apatsumo. Oh, no.
Ouch.
Would have been on the cheap end, but you'd love to have had that win in there.
Meanwhile, dealer, still waiting for that 8, which there's only 2 left now. Otherwise, the rest of your shapes are ready to go. Oh, yeah, because...
Call for Tempai here and probably cut the 9.
I didn't notice the Ricci call. I think that might have...
Oh, no, wouldn't be. You'd be cutting the 3 there for Tempai.
I meant for the dealer, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, Tempai across the way would be 4E10 if you take it. Doesn't want to. Just really afraid of that 6-so, which, considering it is the door indicator, is always a scary tile to have to discard.
Pick up there. So at least help.
The problem for Simon is most of the, for Kaz, is that most of those well, okay, that's one way to do it. You will be 4E10 if you take it. It says nope.
Yeah, 4E10 the whole time.
And again, what if you Patsu mode?
That's just... That's what makes you say, I hate this game. Something like that.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to find the courage, but plays a little safer and hasn't dealt in yet. We know that dealer hand is very expensive.
And you still have, I mean... Well, hand's almost over, but you do have options to shift these shapes around. Picks up another 5-mon. Though, I think he was thinking of using an Anko and a sequence of the Banzu there, but at this point, you're probably just looking to fold safely.
At this point, you're just folding out. There is one 8-mon left. We'll see if Amy draws it. Nope.
Probably in the dead wall now. Watch me eat those words.
No, it's there.
Okay.
I believe that was Tempai if you threw the 8, although I'm not sure. Regardless, though, ends up with one player Tempai. Everyone says, well, that was where the expensive hand was. And another East one. As Amy pulls in another 3,000. Has a bunch of pairs here. 1, 2, 3. I guess just 3 right now. But you're keeping your options open for a lot of things here. None of the shapes are great. None of them are terrible. On the right, looks like a pretty standard Pinfu hand. Ricci Pinfu Dora across the way. Maybe just a Pinfu hand there as well. I don't like those shapes as much, but if you pull 3-pin in, then all of a sudden it looks a lot better. And on the left, looks like a Pinfu Tanyo hand as well.
Saw Amy cutting the east to desperately get the rest of the shapes moving here. Seems to be having some luck with these draws somewhat. That's a 4th pair picked up with the 8 so.
Yeah, you have to think about that. Well, there's your
There's a
5th.
5th
Now you
pair.
probably have to just go for it. You
Mm.
cut the 4 regardless, even for just straight efficiency's sake. And if you end up on Chitoy, it's, well, okay, we'll just take it. Now, I don't like the 5-mon, 4-pin. On the right, I do not like the 5-mon cut there. I would always be cutting the 8 so. I think that's a pretty big efficiency hit.
Lou's picking up some pairs of her own there. It's still just 3.
But now we see
Oh.
Amy going for the Toy, or the Honitsu maybe Toy, but unlikely. And there's our Tempai on the right for Ricci, Pinfu, Dora, maybe Tanyao, waiting on the 1-4-7.
But now we got dealer Tenpai, 1 so, 6 so.
And the 1 so is Genbutsu, so may come out.
Ooh, there it is. There it goes. Well, that was Ricci, of course, but
yeah, I can't avoid that. But deals in for 3,500, and Amy just picks up more Ricci sticks, and will not give up his first dealer turn. And now has the double Yakuhai here and a Dora as well.
Wow, very nice starting hand. Well, you got value, but the rest of the hand's not.
Yeah, the shapes aren't great. There's lots of value though. On the right, shapes aren't bad, but there's no value. It's actually technically Ishan 10, but we've Ricci Nomi. You need the 4-pin and 8-pin across the way. I don't know. What do you do with a hand like that? You have the Dora. I guess you pray to draw another one and then just call for Yakuhai.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of there.
And on the left, well, I mean, there's a distant Itsu now, but you need the 2, 5, 6, 7.
Well, there's
the 6. Now you can at least think about it. And on the left, that's also starting to come together for a Tanya type hand, or an Ishan 10 for Ricci Tanyao. Well, you do see Amy get rid of the Dora here.
Yeah, you've got double East now locked in, so not as necessary. You're already far in the lead, and it's just another dealer repeat at this point.
Tempai on the left for Ricci Nomi, trying to end this dealer turn here with a 4-7 weight. The 4s are actually all dead. There is 1-7, and it is in Luce's hand.
The last 4 just drawn by Simon. Which it's still in there. Oh, it picks up the 7 too.
Ooh, 2 Dora across the way now. Does manage to pull in that pair up, but the question is, what can you do with the rest of this hand?
Simon looking to fold. Good read on that 4 and 7.
We could con here. He doesn't take the con. I kind of like the con there. Get the extra foo here, because that will boost you up to 7,700 minimum with a pretty good Ishan 10, honestly.
Maybe wanting to really keep secret that she has a Yaku, perhaps?
Well, when there's a Ricci on the table, I don't think people generally care that much. Well, there you go. Just take your Ricci here. Ricci double East. I don't see any reason to Dama this.
There we go. Waiting on the 1-mon 6-0.
The
Which is
6-0
pretty
is
much dead.
discarded by loose already, but the 1-mon is 1 out, so 2 outs left. No, these other
No,
6-0 is in the hand,
Yeah, this is in the
so
hand,
just the
locked up.
1-1-mon.
It's locked up. That's not likely to come out. There's the 7.
Tempai across the way, Shumpon with the Dora is the only Yaku in that hand.
Oh, well, there's one west left.
Yep, looking for the west. Oh, there it is. That's not going to come out. There is no way.
No.
So Kaz's hand is effectively locked at this point. Oh, just Sumo.
Pick up.
Ricci, Sumo, double east, and Amy just continues rolling.
Wow.
Now at 55,300. Forgot the Homba in there. And not a great starting end here, but you see the shapes anyway. Looks like a Ricci Dora type end. On the right, Pinfu type shapes and a Dora. Across the way, few pairs of Peiko in So. And on the left, the Chuna's called. And Luce is like, I've had enough of this. I just want this to end.
Exactly what I was thinking. And you do have, well, you have other pairs you could call into triplets, perhaps, but...
Yeah, but with those shapes, you're just looking for anything you can get. You have the overlap now with the 5-pin, but anything you can take, you're just going to be absolutely fine with. And now we have, that is not quite Ishanten across the way, but a very wide Ryanshanten, especially if you can call the West. And now we have a headless Ishanten on the left for loose.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the rule for Simon. Cut the 9 from a 9-7, you draw the 8.
Yep. Throws back the 8-mon in disgust.
Itoy Ishanten across the way. We'll be locking that in. And there's our Tempai on the left, waiting on the random 7-pin donkey.
Yeah. None of them are found right now, or they're all on the wall. 3 out, I guess.
Oh, and yeah, Kaz draws the wrong end. And now we see an upgrade on the left for loose. Now waiting on the 2-5. But that's actually kind of dead. Question is, will it come out from anyone?
Yeah, the 2s are locked up in Loose's hand and mostly locked up in Amy's hand. So you're left with the wall. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, just selling out on the Chitoy. I think that decision was made earlier in the hand.
Yeah, good point there. 5.
Well, there's the 5.
Ooh.
You can just Ricci, don't you? Ricci cutting the 5, so?
Yeah, I think so.
Doesn't want the Tempai. Looking for more value.
You're getting to the point, though, where the pot is where you've got your value, especially here in East 1, where...
It's still just 1,200, but yeah, you'd like more than you're seeing here.
I suppose. Dealer making a decision here. Just awkward shapes here. You've got evens in your Sozu.
And Kaz has another backfire. That is the curse of Chitoy.
Oh. Yep, every time.
Could see a switch to a Northway. Doesn't want it, though. Just going to stick with the 2-5.
As dealer waiting on hopefully getting the 7, so only see one of those up in the hand on the right.
Opponent played for Tempai, but then that 5 will come out eventually.
Oh, there's the Pone and there's the 5. Fortune Nomi.
But I don't think that's a bad deal in. I think I would have thrown the Haku, though, this turn. And if you get Tempai, then you could push the 5. But the Haku is 100% safe there.
That is how you end dealership gracefully. For
Yep,
sure.
just the one Han, 2200. You're fine with that, sitting at 53,000. We have Simon as dealer here. This is already a Cheetoy hand. Rian Shunton for Cheetoy could also be a Toy Toy. Well, now you're leaning a little more toward Toy Toy and cuts the Dora already.
Interesting.
Man, you're saying you just cut the Penchon using the Dora shape right off the bat, but does so.
So you think, and picks up another one.
Immediately.
Oh. The wall is not being kind to anybody tonight.
I don't know. Amy's doing pretty well.
Fair enough. Yeah.
On the right, we see the south call will just be south only. Ishan 10 looking for the 2-5 mon and 5-8 pin. Across the way, whole bunch of, well, I guess not a whole bunch, but decent shapes here. And there's our Tempai on the right. Ooh, and now you can also accept a Dora if you're loose. That 2, though, will come right out, and we'll just keep moving. And he's like, I can deal in 1,000 points for the rest of this game and not have any problems.
And get the game going again after staying in East 1 for an entire half of the game, pretty much.
Well, it's East 3. Dealer has decent shapes here. Ricci Pinfu, Mimini Peiko, and 2 options. Oh, that's about the worst tile to draw. That cheapens the hand significantly. Of course, if you draw the 6-so, you can only shift back to that Tanyawi Peiko. On the right, we see the East, and no other value here, just Ishan 10 for East only. Across the way, a few pairs, 4 of them even. So with 2 Dora especially, you're thinking Cheetoy. Well, now you have an Onko, so maybe not. Now you even thinking potentially Toy Toy, but the 3-so and 6-so would be very hard to call. And on the left, you see a Chun pair, and plenty of options. You could go Toy Toy, you could go Honitsu even, although it's a long way off. But the fastest hand is the one on the right that is now Tempai waiting on 3 pin for East only.
Quick 10 pies from the right so far. Not the same player, obviously. But no 3s to be accounted for at the moment, so wide open. Well, as wide as you can be on a single. Dealer hand starting to kind of come together a little bit more with 2 shapes locked in, 2 sequences. But struggling now to find any more progress. 3.
No, that's going to come out. We're going to see a call here. Tempai on the left for 1,000. Waiting on the 3-so.
2 of which in the hand across. No others to be seen right now, but now it's changing, calling the 1 pin.
And yeah, I want to take some flexibility with that Tonki. It's much better to have a flexible Tonki that you can wait on Dora or even some random wind than just being stuck on that 3. Oh, Khan! There's the Khan. Gets a 2 Dora from that huge pickup.
Nice.
Yeah, not to mention the fact you have a Tonki, that would actually be 50 Fu here. So Chun Dora 2 would be 6,400 on this win.
Dealer dropping the Dora, the new Dora, just now.
Well, having cut 5-6 already, you almost have to. We do see a switch here waiting to the 2 Montonki. Of course, we know that for loose, that's not great. Because 2 of them are locked up there. And the question is, where are those 3 pin? We've been waiting this whole time. Where are they?
They're still unaccounted for, still AWOL. Oh, there's another 2.
Well, I think you cut the 1 here. Yeah, waiting on the 2 pin.
Go.
Lou's thinking the same thing, which is that Tonki is quite flexible.
Mm-hmm. Only 1 2-pin accounted for right now. 2 more on the wall.
Oz is going to try and float towards K10 here. Tempai with that Yaku, try and get Tempai payments eventually.
Leaning also towards a Tonki, perhaps.
And we see across the way, Tempai now with Dora 3, but no Yaku.
Yeah, south is not the wind. Even though it feels like we should be in south round right now.
Ooh, now that 4-so gives you the option to change to the Tanya or the Toy Toy. Goes the Tanya route.
Hmm.
A 6 could be called for Tempai and will be. And there's the 9, which will deal into nothing.
Yeah, no Yaku here just yet.
Well, the Yaku is Hote.
Fair
Your
enough.
last
Yeah.
discard, and that's how you have to look in a hand like that.
Hmm. He's
5 should be
getting there,
pretty
though.
safe here. Yeah.
And you have a lot of hungry Tenpai around the table.
That'll be cheap for Tempai. That's an easy call. Cut the 3. Waiting on 3
No.
6. The 3, you have all 4 of the 3s in your hand, though. Maybe you could have cut
Yeah,
the 6
and
instead and chosen the 3-pin donkey.
And you got 2 of the 6s, and those are dead as well. The other
It's
6s are in
completely
the other
dead.
hands. Hmm.
Interesting decision for loose. Okay, could even con this. Really scare the table.
And
And
does.
will. Going for the
Eudora's north.
flashy Rinshon. Doesn't get it, though.
Hmm. North is the Dora, not really consequential in this case, though.
Nope.
Only seeing 1 in the discards, unless my eyes are crossed.
2-pin would be 4/8 cents. There's no reason to take that weight.
Oh. There's another Dora North.
Well, this is when you go out and you count how many are there out. And if you don't get to at least 2, you probably cut the 9 mon. Okay, just hard
9
fold. Says
pins.
forget it.
Okay. Not worth it. There's the 9 Mon, though.
And deals in all those cons, all that expense, and the 1,000 point hand wins it all.
Yep. It's like the Tanyao police, even though that wasn't Tanyao.
The Tanyao, but same effect. One Han
Yeah.
will shut down a bunch of monster hands developing.
Disarming the Titans.
Here we have loose with a pair of Hatsu and a Dora. Rest of shapes are okay. They're not bad at all. May just call and go here. And yeah, I like this, especially as dealer. You're fine with the 2,900. On the right, that 7 mon helps that hand immensely, but still has a long way to go. Richi Pin Futanyao, maybe an Ipeko or a Sanshoku, depending on what happens in So. Across the way, looks like a Tanyao Dora type hand. Maybe your 6, 7, 8 Sanshoku here as well. And on the left, a bunch of good shapes in pin and a bunch of floaters elsewhere. You do have that Haku pair, though, so it may just also be a call and go. We'll find out right now, and there it goes. Could even hedge towards the Honitsu later, but need to draw a bunch first.
Seeing the leaning more towards low-value hands when if you're going to make a run for the lead, this is when you got to start thinking about how am I going to do that.
Well, it's also tilting to have first dealer just go on a run like that.
That is true.
So it gets a bit in everyone's head. I have to win something. This is so frustrating. And then sometimes you end up taking cheaper hands than you'd really want.
Don't want to go Yakitori. Healer Ishanten, pretty wide open.
Is that Ishunten? I don't think so.
Oh, no, you're right.
No, it's still
You're
Dealer
right.
Ryan Shunten. It's an ugly
one.
one.
Yeah. It's giving those shapes a bit too much credit.
Yeah, that's one of those. I've seen that. It always feels like a D Shunten. And you look at it closer, you pull out your magnifying glass and go, oh, upon closer examination, this hand is terrible.
Yeah.
But you call a few times and that'll fix things. Template on the left for 4-pin.
Oh, very nice.
Upgrades the weight here. Oh, speaking of 4-pin, would have drawn it if you didn't make the call there, but you can't know that. No. And loose is now Tempai on 4-7, so we have a 5-8 pin weight on the left. And now Tempai on the right, a 3-sided 2-5-8 triple Tonki weight.
And now loose picks up another 1. Obviously, that's not going to help. But yeah, Tenpai on the 4 and the 7.
Oh, that's just going to deal in. I don't see how you avoid that. That's just your 2,000. You accept it and you move on.
Not a bad
Hey,
loss.
we made it to South Round.
Wow, and only about 43 minutes in, if my timing is correct.
Well, I think we started quite late for this game. But regardless, we have Amy as dealer here again, has a Dora and a Yakuhai pair. So I think
Mm,
it's very much call and go. Well,
but
maybe
look
now
at
you just
Luce.
Ricci.
Well, yeah,
Ooh,
look at
Luce's
Luce.
hand is scary.
Yeah,
Cut the
speed
eight
and
nine
ferocity.
here. Yeah, and there we see Amy with the really nice Ishan 10, Ryanman. On the right, looks like 123 Sanchoku, maybe a distant Junchan, though forgetting him. Not really worried about that. Across the way, Ricci Tanyao, Pinfu Dora. But the big hand is the one on the left, which is North and Honitsu. It is not actually Mongon yet. Tempai, though, and that's what matters, is 5,200 on the 3 or 6 pin.
What if she draws the 4 or the 5? Would you go for Toy Toy in this case?
If I draw the 5, no. Well, yeah, there you go. That's a great tile to
Oh.
call. Is now you can still wet on the 3 and get the value, but if you get the 4, there's your Toy Toy. So I
There
definitely like
you
that
go.
call there on the 8 pin.
Hmm.
And you just look like Toy Toy. It could be any random pair in your hand.
Right. You don't have enough discards to tell you it's Pinzu at this point.
No, you think you look at that pile and you think, okay, it's not lower so maybe one so safe, but that's about it. There's a decent chance you have 2 Dora in a hand like this.
Now you get to start discarding Pinzu to really throw people off.
Tempai on the no, not Tempai, still missing a pair. Looked better than it was.
Yeah, just like last time. 3 for a Sanchoku, though, would be nice. 3 pin.
That's what you're really looking for. Even if you draw the 4-7, you take the weight on the 3.
Yeah.
Of course, we know that 3 is actually pretty locked up at this point. There's a 4. That is Tempai across the way. And that is a monster hand. Oh, no. And deals in on the Ipatsu. Double road. Amy with the cheaper 2,900 with the big one. Ricci, Ipatsu, Pinfu, Tanya, door 2.
Oh, man.
The aura doesn't matter, but it's Hanemon, and Luce is in some trouble now.
Uh-oh. And also, the problem is that dealer, Amy, is Tenpai. Sorry, not Tenpai, is remaining dealer. Once again, starting off, hopefully doesn't get out of hand again for this table, but 55,000.
Well, if you're worried about Amy getting out of control, that is not the starting hand you want her to have.
Oh,
already Ishan 10 also has a path to Itsu and Pin. On the right, we see a Chun pair and a floating Dora, decent shapes. And across the way, we see the pawn of the 4 pin. Just going Tanya, trying to end this. On the left, we see a pay pair and a. Oh, well, now you're definitely going dealer, going for that Itsu. On the left, we have a monster hand developing with potentially Chanta, Pei, Hatsu, Dora. That guy even called that 9-mon.
I just got dropped, yeah.
Yeah,
Tempai,
not
too much
Tempai on
value
the
from
right
that
there.
being closed, yeah.
Ishan 10 on the right, still looking for that Chun. And then we're going to see a Chi across the way, just trying to get anything done here. Ooh, and there's another Hatsu pull in. So I think you just cut the. I would be cutting the 7-9, but instead goes and cuts the 1-2. That's fine as well. Tempai across the way would be Otozuke needing that 6 and 4-10, so it doesn't like it. Oh, and there's Tempai on the left. Could even Dama this, but I think you reach you because of the Suji trap. And it's going to be a Patsu. There's no way Amy avoids this. There's no way. Ricci, decides to Dom. It doesn't end up making a difference. But Ricci, Apatsu, Chanta, Pei, Dora, Hatsu, and no Ura, but it's still a Hanemon, and Luce gets back into the game a little bit.
And also brings Casey very close to the lead now. I believe it's just less than a Mongon apart now. Yeah, half a Mongon.
4,000 even. You can't blame Amy for that play at all. I mean,
no.
you're looking at a monster hand there.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have Simon as dealer. It looks like a Pinfu type hand with a Dora. On the right, we have two Dora now, but you're probably going to want to just play efficiency, try and get any sort of Riichi Dora too. Across the way, you have pairs all over the place. Now, you want more Dora, but as we know, they're kind of locked up. In fact, all of them are in hands already. And on the left, a few pairs. Not really all that much there, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good shapes for dealer right now.
But if you're Amy, you're fine with just going Tanya with this. You don't need big hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just needs to keep this game moving now that the dealer has passed her.
We now have a perfect Ishanten on the right for Kaz. Riichi Pinfu Dora 2, most likely.
Good pickup for
and Amy gets rid of that Dora while she can.
Yeah.
Definitely going for the Tanya at this point.
Becoming dead weight.
Ooh, nice little Ishanten now on the left. Interesting cutting the 5 there. The West would be much more efficient. Yeah. Well, there's our temp play on the right. Will be Riichi Dora 2 waiting on 6-9.
The 6-9 of the Sozu.
Yes.
All
and
the
so Amy's
nines
keeping the West here as a safe tile. Does lose a bunch of efficiency playing it this way, but you gain that safe tile, especially that first turn on your direct competition.
The 9-so does not look, does look safe as well, which could play into Kaz's favor.
I don't think that 9-so looks safe at all. I think that looks kind of scary against those discards.
Like with there not being a lot of Sozu in general.
Nothing, and the only so is the 2. So I would, if I had to guess just randomly, I would assume it's either a 5-8 or a 6-9 weight. Like you said, Korek, tell me what that weight is. Those would be my first two guesses.
But it'll be
just sumo and a Patsumo, Riichi, a Patsumo, Pinfui, Peiko. No aura, but Loose definitely fighting back, was left for dead, and is now in striking range of at least 30k and potentially more.
Yeah, I mean, one or two big moves like that, and you got the lead.
It is South 3. We have Kaz's dealer, and you can see the shapes are there, but the value isn't. You're just taking basically anything you can get, I suppose. Maybe a very distant 789 Sanshoku, but even that feels a long way off. On the right, 678 Sanshoku is probably your path to value. Well, now with that 4, so you're thinking about Itsu. You could make a whole lot of options with that hand, but the fast hand may be the one across the way with the White Dragon Call. You also have a Floating Door. The problem is the rest of the shapes aren't that great. You have the overlap of the Mon shape, and you need the 3-pin to fill in that Penchon. On the left, we have a Pinfu Tanyao type hand, maybe distant 789 Sanshoku. Interesting that the 7 is not called by Amy. I don't get that one. I think it just directly speeds the hand up, just going ahead and taking that, and fixes your problem of overlap.
If your hand's already open, why not? It's open and you have a Yaku, and you just want to push the cart to the finish at this point.
Right. Well, now Kaz decides to reject the Ishanten. Would have needed to fill in both Penchon with the 1-2 and 8-9. You're going to float the option for a little bit here. But the problem is you've kept the 1-2-2 shape, which doesn't do much either. Trying to brute force the Sanshoku, but it's just so far away. Yeah, see now Amy. Yeah, but if you'd have that 7, you'd be waiting on that Dora Tonki, and I'd much rather have that than this Ishanten. Yeah. Especially considering that awkward Dora that's sitting in. Okay, well, just get it the next turn. That fixes it.
There you go. Get to the next shot. Well, 1 West discarded, 1 in hand.
May come out right here.
Yeah. Even as Adora?
Even as a Dora, like
Mm.
what else you okay, goes ahead and stays disciplined here. I think Simon has decided the only value in this hand is Sanshoku Dora 2. So we'll be looking for an excuse to cut the 8 pin. But now we have a Ricci on the right for Ricci Pinfu possible Itsu. And
Oh, but
there's
he's
the
going to drop the
West.
West. Oh. So decided to go back on his original decision, drops the West, and deals in.
Doesn't want to throw the 3 with the 2-7 out there. You look at the discards for loose, and there was a 7 mon, and then later a 2 would have been a 3-6 weight, if you believe it is an Ada Yonken type shape. But throws the Dora, and I don't like throwing Dora on Ipatsu regardless, but not the person you were expecting to have hit you.
That's right.
We are now in all last, and Loose's dealer with I don't know. I think you just take anything here. Great draw there. I'd cut it the one. I definitely cut the 1-3 here. I think cutting nine's a bit of a mistake. You kind of locked your shape in. I'd much rather have the. Oh no, and that's why makes an efficiency mistake and punished immediately. So the problem is with the 1-3 is you're going to need the 2 or to pair one of those up with the. Well, okay, there. Wow, look at that. Okay, well, just draw the right tiles. Turns it into a Ricci Pinfu Tanyao Sanshoku. If you're just going to draw the right tiles, you can ignore me.
Yeah.
I just assume I draw nothing ever, so.
Wall's being spicy with you tonight.
On the right, we have a few pairs. You're looking for the Chun, so Amy has a reason to push here with that Dora. Across the way, looks like an Ipeco or maybe even a Chitoy. Now you even thinking possibly Suanko. I'm cutting the 2 pin for sure. On the left, that is a decent shape as well. Not much value for Cause, though. And Cause is just incentivized to fold, though. Ooh, that is not Tempai across, but I think you just have to. Ooh, I don't like the 4. I think you just go for the goods here. The problem here is the Tuso is dead at this point. So for a Suanko, it would be kind of rough.
And he can see that the Tuso is dead, so that would have to be your pair. Yeah, Suanko in general is just way too far off.
No, that 9. I think that gets held at least for a little bit, but if there's a reason to push, I think Amy does push. No, what we do see is the 9 is the cheap end. So if you're going to deal in, you don't mind that one that much. If you deal in that 6, though, oof.
Good news for Amy. She can't really lose her lead against these hands right
now,
I think.
Oh, there's the 6. Ricci Sumo Pinfu Tanya Sanshoku. That is going to be a Hanemon. That will take first.
Oh, Daimon! Oh my gosh! 25,000.
You were just saying it'd be hard for Amy to lose her lead. Well, no.
How about that? Oh, Ura-san visits us and says otherwise.
Yes, and now Luce is in a great position with 50,000. Cause has fallen under 30. Simon's kind of looking a little hopeless now, and you weren't feeling great before, but all of a sudden this goes from a rough 4th into a borderline catastrophic 4th. But regardless, we have to keep playing. It is South 4-1. Dealer has a whole bunch of pairs in Mon. Maybe even could have kept the option open for a Chinitsu shift, which is going to play efficiently. Tip doesn't want the West in the hand. I think I'd rather cut the West in the 1 there, but whatever. On the right, that's already a very wide Ishun 10. And you also have the potential to upgrade that to an Itsu if you draw the right tiles in pin. Across the way, that looks like I don't know, are you going Honitsu, Toy? I guess it's not Kokushi at this point, but looking for some value sitting at 4,300 and just, it's not there yet. On the left, though, we see a Haku pair, decent shapes. You're just looking to call and be done here. Remember, the 2,000 is good enough because there's a Holma in the middle. So if I'm Kaz, I'm just playing for just the 2,300. And there's our
cut this down.
Ricci on the right. It is Ricci Nomi. Of course, Amy's club's name goes for the appropriate weight there with the 3-6. Right. But the 3-6 are kind of dead. There is 1-6 left and 1-3 left.
still a lot of wall to go through, but unless it hits Simon's hand, I don't see them coming out.
I think Kaz should be pushing a little more heavily than he is because even if you deal in, you figure there's not really an incentive to push for a whole lot here. Amy's going to have exactly this hand quite often, which is to say nothing. And you'd really like to have your chance to get to 30K at least. But really afraid of that 3-mon. And I'm not worried about throwing the 3-mon with the 2-6. There is the general rule you don't take the Riichi Suji. But when there's a 2 and a 6, the chance of being on a 2-2-4-6 and then cutting the 2 and then the 6 is kind of rare. It does happen, but not all that often. And now we see Akabe of the 6-mons, so the 7 is going to feel reasonably safe as well. Tempai across the way is going for the 1,000-point hand to end it. Simon didn't want to be in this game any longer.
Just want it to end. There's the 2-mon that would solve his problem, and there it
Deal
is.
it, and Lewis is actually like, you know what? That's fine. I'll take my big first here.
Very big.
Big winner is Luce with 34.1. Amy started off with an absolutely monster hand, but when you see a dealer buy
monstrous East 1.
3, East 1 just dominated, but eventually Sumo down a bit. Kaz had some ups and downs in there, but ultimately falls below with that big Baimon Sumo. And Simon just got nothing the whole game and will end up taking 4th here. And I think we're going to have one more match from this table.
So I believe they've just started, so they'll be getting going in just a few minutes from now. Leaderboard has been updated. And as you can see, despite those large performances from all these players, they're still pretty close. We could definitely see another complete shakeup from this table by the end of this 4th game, especially
for sure. What you see is Amy and Kaz kind of wiping out their previous scores with those results. Luce, of course, the big first ends up in the positives, and Simon with the big 4th ends up in the negatives.
That game will be starting at just 3 past the hour.
So it is at the top of the hour right now, so I am going to get some water.
All right, stick around. We'll be back with more action in just a bit. Just about a minute before the start here. And of course, if you're looking at this action and you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'd like to be a part of that. Well, you can. Join us for our Winter League, which is registration open from now until December 19th. You can find more information on the website scrolling across your screen right now, AmericanRicci.org. And if you sign up early, there's a chance we could call on you to be a sub in some of our games. So definitely a neat experience. Get your feet wet in this league and be ready when you start the real thing at the start of next year when the calendar rolls into 2023.
Well, I'm back and more hydrated, something I suggest for everyone. But we're going to see this game kicking off any second. Of course, the big highlights there were Amy just going on a roll in East 1 and then Lewis hitting one monster hand to pull it all back.
Crazy action there, and we're sure to see even more as we get rolling here.
All right, Simon is first dealer here. Looks like a Ricci Pinfu type hand. You're on the 8 pin to pull in. On the right, a Haku pair. Very distant Daisangen. You're keeping in the back of your mind. You're not expecting much. Well, maybe. Now you get a little more tempted. And that we also see very likely that Hatsu will come out from the left. So there's chances. Across the way, looks like a standard Pinfu hand. Of course, if you pull the 3-so in this turn, it will be Ricci Pinfu, but doesn't. Upgrades the shape in pin. On the left, we have similarly a Ricci Pinfu type hand. Possible Sanshiko may require a little bit of shifting.
You saw Simon just immediately drop that Chun after the Hatsu was called. Pretty gutsy
The
move
longer
there.
I wait on this, the more dangerous it gets. And that's actually mathematically the right play. Is there are times when they will be dealt 3 pairs, but it is so exceedingly rare. But oftentimes they'll pick up 1, and that's exactly the situation Amy is in right now. And that's why you just sit there and wait.
Yeah, the door is not closed on Daisangen, certainly not for Shosangen. Oh, there it is.
Here we go. There's the Tempai. We have Daisangen Tempai. And the 1 pin actually feels like it has a very good chance of coming out itself. The question is, how greedy does Amy want to be if it does?
Do you want us to just start with another really strong hand and go into another long dealer stand, perhaps?
If you draw the 1, I think you just have to take it. I'd pass the first 1 pin. Of course, the second one comes, you just take it. But it just comes down to how greedy you want to be. Shosangen Chanta isn't great. I mean, it's Mongon, but you're looking at this, you're like, but it's Yakuman. Give me the Yakuman.
And while the
and now we're starting to see a lot of people. Oh, there it is. And yeah, you can't throw it. You cannot throw it now.
No,
it's very different throwing it on turn 3 from turn 9 for exactly this type of situation. That Amy picked up 1, had it fairly early, but needed to pair it up and eventually did so. I don't think a tune is ever coming out at this point. And now it's turn 11 for Amy. If the 1 comes out, I'd take it.
Still not accounted for.
Dealer Tempai, Ricci Pinfu, Tanyao, waiting on 2-5. So, yeah, but I don't think that 1's going to come out because we have the dealer Ricci. It actually hurts Amy significantly. Tempai on the left for Tanyao Nomi. No Sanshuku in there unless there's a shift. Uh-oh. And yeah, there's the deal in Ricci Pinfu Tanyao.
That's a lot.
And the Oradora puts that all the way to a Mongon. That's a huge Oradora worth 6,200.
Huge and even huger that you get to stop a Daisangen with it. Oh, yeah, look at this hand.
One where they're, oh my goodness, are going to look back at the log and go, oh my goodness, what just happened? But yeah, as you said, you look at this hand, it's already Ishanten for Chitoi Honitsu. Wow. On the right, we have
Chitoi Chinitsu, even if you want to really get greedy.
Yeah, well, you're not Ishanten for it. You are Ryanshanten.
Oh, that's true.
Ooh, now we have Ishanten on the right. That shape's getting better. Going for locking in the Tanya here. Doesn't want the West. Certainly understandable. Across the way, we have a very awkward situation where you have the 1s, the 4s, and the 7s. So I think you're almost stuck going for a set-based hand with that. We do see the 3 is called by Simon, just going for the Chinitsu and already Tempai, waiting on 1-mon, 2-mon. And speaking of already Tempai, Tempai on the right for Amy for Ricci Tanya Dora, waiting on 3-pin. So the action did not wait very long in this game. Wow.
No. Definitely needed that 5-minute break. For sure.
And if you're Simon, you're never folding on anything. Even if you draw a door, you're just jamming it. Could see a call here for Tempai. The 3 is safe. I absolutely call for Tempai. The question is, you throw the Dora or do you throw the safe 3?
Now he's waiting on the Dora indicator, 5-so.
Yes. Of course, if the White Dragon comes out, I think you call and cut the 4.
Yeah. And Tonki waits.
Oh,
but
just
drawing
so.
the White Dragon.
And another dealer Mungon there for Simon, up over 55,000. And the terror of East 1 strikes again.
Oh. Already 55,000 over. It took Amy a little bit longer to get to this point, but incredible start for Simon, just any way you slice it.
Simon is especially coming off that last game, and is now looking at probably 1, 2, 3 Sanshigu type hand. Also, the Haku. There's a potential for a Chanta in here, but you have to get rid of that 6-pin pair. On the right, that looks like a Honitsu, Hatsu. And the question is, can you find another Han there? And, well, Chanta is possible. Pairing up either of the Yakuhai is possible. But looking pretty good there for Amy across the way. Few pairs, but honestly, that hand's not very good. And on the left, nice pull into the 4-pin, which changes this from utter garbage to just regular garbage.
Very true. But we see Amy, I think, those calls, of course it is a lot of value, but Amy kind of, shoes on the other foot now. Now she's trying to put an end to this out of control East 1 that Simon's having.
Called the 6 and taken the bad shades, but just going to sit here and wait a little bit. You don't really want to need another 8, considering 2 of them are out, so I definitely agree with passing here.
Up an East for possible double East.
I might have just gone ahead and switched to Chanta if I were Amy, because you have so many loose honors and you're getting towards second row. I'd like to just kind of cheapen this hand down because it's starting to feel too slow to me. But we do that Chi Toy across the way, also using a Dora, but still ran Shanten.
4
Not
pairs
anymore.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, so going for Chi Toy across.
Yeah, well, you're definitely going for the Chi Toy, and you're really hoping to wait on that 1-so. Because you have that Suji Traptor. Well, okay. Now you cut the 6-so for sure, but you can keep the option open for Toy Toy.
Yeah.
I don't like the 2 there. I definitely cut the 6. I don't see what the 6 does. Unless you're reading Amy as already Tempai, which I wouldn't be. You're seeing 1 north overflow, but that's not much. I would assume Ishanten. Of course, we know Amy's hand is in utter disrepair, but you can't know that from where anyone else is at this table.
Yeah. Interesting, KC has dropped the 4-pin earlier, as we saw.
Now we see the pawn. Okay, going for that Toy Dora 3, probably Chun. Dealer is now Tempai for Haku Nomi, waiting on the 4-7 pin.
Big hands all over.
Ooh, I see the 8 is held by Amy. Would have put loose into Tempai, but is not thrown. I think Amy smart. Well, now you may just have to push in. Will be. And that gets thrown. We now have Tempai on. That scary Chun in Amy's hand would deal into Hanemon if it comes out.
Again, Chun getting scary. Which it normally does at this stage.
Now that 4-so looks really bad, but I don't know that you have a better option. And honestly, if I may, I'm probably folding. As tempting as this hand is, I just want to get rid of those E's and be done with it.
They are safe. Sure.
Yeah, they're 100% safe at this point. So keeping the option open, of course. What you're afraid of here is if Amy draws a 5 or a 6, that Chun could come out.
Finally picks up another Sozu, but it's not the
Took a
one you're looking
while.
for.
Terrible draws, honestly, for Amy, regardless of how
Hmm,
well that hand started.
yeah, completely just stalled out. You can see the tail and her discards there.
And that 8, I don't think you can put. Wow, aggressive play by Simon.
Mm,
Feeling some flow here. Oh, here it is.
No.
It does. There's the Honeyman.
ouch. Toy Toy Chewing
And
Dora 3.
yeah, and you don't expect it to be a Honeyman, but you expect something very dangerous. You're kind of curious as to why those tuners kind of loose here, but saw the Chanta on top of everything else and said, well, I have Mongon, I should push it.
Boom.
Now you got Luce going to defend her lead here as we head into East 2.
Amy is dealer here in East 2, calls the Hatsu has a floating door. Rest shapes are okay. Nothing great, though. On the right, looks like a possible 2-3 reverse Sanshku is the best value in the hand. Also have a floating Dora there, maybe to Peiko in so. Across the way, I don't know. You have lots of Sanshku options, but none of them look very likely. I guess you're trying to draw something near Dora that is technically already Ishan 10, but yeah. On the left, we have much better shapes. The value isn't quite there yet, although now you're thinking about an Itsu. Dealer is now Tempai waiting on 7 pin if it is taken. Would have to throw the Dora. Will do so, waiting on that 7 pin now for 1500.
Seeing good progress from Simon here. I think those shapes in the Sozu.
Well, I think you're just going to cut the... Oh, cuts the 3 this turn. Keep the option open. Could switch to the Champon, but with one of the 1-mons out, I just throw the 6 back. If the 1 were still... I do not like the Karagiri here. This is one of my personal annoyances, but when you're giving extra information out about your hand, that's generally a bad time to do so. It's something a lot of players do from habit, but you are leaking information. Not all people will be able to capitalize on it, but here the late change of the 6 suggests you have something around the 6, which is exactly what Amy is doing.
I always learn something new from you when I do these casts with you, Korak.
Well, now you have the 6-8, so it doesn't matter. That 8 was going to come out anyway. So it doesn't end up mattering in the end, but just a bad
Picks up the
practice
8.
not to leak any extra information.
Yeah.
Tempai on the left, if you throw the 3, yeah, Will Dama waiting on 3-mon for Tanya Nomi. Close Tanya Nomi.
Picks up the
and then
8,
8.
so...
And that looks reasonably safe with the early 6 Sotegawa. Will deal in for Richi Pinfu Tanya Dora. That is a Mangan. And I don't blame Amy for pushing that one. I probably would have pushed it too. Sneaky little trap that wait there for Luce.
Speaking of Luce, that puts Amy in Luce's spot from last game, but as we saw with Luce, very easy to come back if you get that big,
Well, I
just
wouldn't say
clobbering
easy,
hand.
but certainly
Okay.
doable.
Right. Good. Better choice of
And
words.
if there are people that can come back from big deficits, Amy is certainly near the top, if not at the top of that list. But we're on East 3. Dealer has a Hatsu pair. Could go Honitsu here as well. You have the awkward floaters kind of everywhere, though. Maybe some sort of regular hand, I guess. I think you just call and go after that 4. It's not really a tie you like because it cheapens the hand, but you're kind of running out of time here. On the right, you have, well, I'm not quite sure. You really want to go Honitsu in pin, but the shapes just aren't quite there yet. So that's very much a wait and see. Across the way, it looks like a Pinfu type hand. Not too much value, though. On the left, it also feels like a Pinfu type hand, but not much value. And now Luce has a bunch of options. We'll go ahead and keep the widest Ishan 10, looking to stay closed here for Richi Hatsu. Has effectively a floating 3 and a floating 6.
Having the Hatsus is nice. Especially as dealer.
Oh, that 3 is a really annoying draw because there's a very good chance you're going to end up 4e10 having cut that 2 so earlier if you keep it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I would have just thrown it back or maybe even cut the 6 so. Done some sort of slide there. But yeah, if you draw the 7 or the 4, do you even want that 4e10 tempo? I mean, you have to take it, I suppose. Well, okay, there you go. There's your tempi. Now the question is, do you like the 4? Interesting situation. Yeah, it does like the 4 weight here. I agree with this. The Mon look cheap. They look so cheap on this board. Everyone's discarding it. They're probably sitting in the wall. The only way they're not is if someone has a pair of them. And we know that is exactly the situation.
But, I don't see them, if they hit the other player's hands, I don't see them sticking. Even if they've hit Amy's hand. I mean, Amy's
Yeah,
got
but no, when I'm looking at this hand, I'm thinking the 6 is probably dead, just given what I see at the table, and it is. And the 4-mon probably has at least 3 in the wall. The only way it doesn't is, as mentioned, someone has a pair of them.
Yes. Which is the case.
So good choice there by Luce, recognizing that. Definitely read. But there's one of those 4s. You have to be the one to draw it for making any difference. For it to make any difference.
Kaz with a good read there. Hanging on to the 4-mon. Now we see 3 pairs in Amy's hand.
I think Kaz just folding out at this point.
Yeah. You could even make a shape out of those, though.
There are paths forward, but they're very awkward. And you have that Dora stuck in the hand that you're probably never pushing. So I agree with the fold. Even sitting at 13-9, I want more points, but I don't want to have to shove live Dora to dealer Ricci. We do see a call for Ishunten on the left. Oh, and it denies the 4. If that call weren't made, that would have been the Sumo, Ricci, Sumo, Hatsu with the Fu. That'd been 2,600 all, plus potentially Oradora, of course.
Luce looks in pretty good shape to keep it on the draw anyway. Keep dealer on the draw.
Well, Amy's already Ishunten and looking for a path forward. The 6 could come out like right here even.
6-mon comes out. But here's the last draw.
Yep, and Luce will net the 2,000 after throwing the Ricci stick in the middle, and you're perfectly fine with that. The read was correct. Like I can't emphasize enough how important it is to just read the situation on the board and figure out what was the better weight. It was correct. Even though there was a pair of that 4-mon being used, it was still the equivalent weight. But regardless, we're in East 1-1, and that 7-so really helps it. East 3-1, you're correct. And the 7-so helps this hand out immensely. Looking for a Tanyao here, maybe a Dora as well. On the right, we have a Pinfu type hand. We really want to pull the 8-pin. Across the way, we see a call, just a Chi looking to call the West here, but not much value, not any value, honestly. Although always tempted by the 1,300 in the middle, and Sammy being in first place doesn't need a ton of value. On the left, we have really the Peiko and upper pin, and that's about it. You have a third pair. You could go Tanyao. Maybe you pull in a 3-so Dora. But it's just not a great hand. Even this 2-so, the 2-pin, I'm very tempted to call that. Just because I think, when I look at that hand, I know I'm way behind. Dealer is Ishunten in the meantime for what would be Ricci, Tanyao, Dora.
Yeah. Have a
Takes a significantly less efficient shape in order to be able to pull in other things near Dora.
You do have 1. Pick up another pair here. Puts 1 back.
Yeah, and I like the 3-3-5-7-7. The problem is you're stuck with that 6-8 shape.
Yeah, evens in one.
That is potentially setting up a. You are potentially setting up a Suju trap later. Ooh, interesting choice. Loose now can just go for open Itsu, meaning 2-so and 4-so.
Pin not helping that 6-8 very much. Another good pickup for Amy.
There's Tempai for dealer.
there's-
Ricci, Tanya, Dora waiting on that Suji Trap 7-pin. And I'll say that 7-pin looks pretty safe.
Yeah, I think we'll see that come out of Kaz's hand, perhaps. It is the weakest shape in that hand, just like the 6-8 is the weak shape in Loose's hand.
Has it generally been folding pretty hard, but there it is.
Picks it up for Ricci, Tanya, Dora 1. With
And
2
the
Uras.
Ura, another dealer Mongon.
Oh, man.
And wow, look at these scores. 54,300 and actually kind of a distant second with it.
That's incredible. Yeah. Well, it's still it's 7,500 away.
Yeah, less than a
that is
Mongon,
getting
but
some
that's still
distance.
quite a bit to the distance. But
And you
loose
can
at
get some
61,000. There's a big fight for first and second, and the big fight for third and fourth. Dealer here has just Ricci Nomi, honestly. Maybe you pull a 3 or 5 mon, you can add Pinfu here, but I just don't like this hand much. If you get Tempai, you take it, but it's not ideal. On the right, that looks kind of the same situation. A lot of shit. You see the shapes, but there's no value, and the shapes themselves aren't great. Across the way, though, is by far the best hand with double Yakuhai pairs. You'd love to be able to go Honitsu, but it doesn't look particularly likely. On the left, definitely going Itsu. That 3-pin will solidify the shapes. Now just needing a 7-pin for a Yaku, but the question is, what else are you going to do with it?
The call, the 4-5-6 for Amy. Could get an Itsu, as I believe you said.
Yeah. It's the open Itsu is obviously the play here. The question is, what else are you going for? Because I don't like, well, okay, now it's just open Itsu Nomi. You're probably going to end up cutting the Hatsu and then the 8-mon. But you need a 7-pin and a 5-so specifically in order to get 1,600 points. When you do something like that, I like a lot more value. But we do have Tempai across the way waiting on that 2-so.
Two of the twos
Ideally, of course, you're looking to call the Haku and then wait Shampon on the 3-6. There is that aforementioned 2-so.
Now 3
will be held for now. Well, you also have to realize Kaz is looking for pairs at this point. That hand just kind of looks stuck. Does cut the 9, so maybe going Tanya. I would have floated Chito a little bit longer, but may just be hard folding.
True. There's still 1, 2 left.
And there's the 2-so. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that kind from loose. You're just not even paying that much attention to the table. There are no hidden Dora, so you just deal it. And like, okay, whatever.
Does get them a little bit
speaking of double Yakuhai pair, Kaz gets what is potentially a comeback type hand, especially if you go Honitsu Toy with it.
Even more so if the Hatsus show their face. Which one
Hatsu is Dora, so unlikely that they're going to come out immediately, but we'll keep some options open. And there's one of the Hatsu comes out on the right.
Immediately.
And we have on the right, looks like a Tanyao type hand. The 1-pin doesn't really fit into it that well. If this 4 comes out, do you even call that? Let me see. I'd probably call it. I don't like anything in these shapes. There's our pawn on the 8. Okay, we'll just be going for the cheaper hand most likely. Across the way, you see the south call. That is absolutely a Honitsu play. You'd love to add Itsu or really anything else, but it's just not there. And on the left, we see a pair of Is and decent shapes, but way behind at this point.
Kaz is already Tenpai here, 6-mon and the Chun.
Yep. The Chun, of course, would be extra. Fu on Sumo would get boot this all the way to 3,900.
Well, we'll get you third at the very least.
Remember, we do not have Toby or busting in ARML, so as we've seen a few times today, even ending up in negatives, your game does not end.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of nice because then you have
Khan?
all the chances in the
Khan!
world to come back. Oh, Khan. The new
Well,
door
that's
is
one way to
4
get
pin.
extra foo. The 4-pin is very interesting because it does incentivize Simon to push a little harder.
Gets
There's
one in
another
his
one of
hand,
those
also one in
Dora.
Luce's. Oh, yeah, there's one in Luce's. Yeah.
Now there are 2 in Luce's, but the rest of the hand just isn't coming together. So I don't think that's much you're going to have to worry about.
Another
Speaking
Khan.
of cons,
8 so the new Dora. Don't really see. Well, there's 2 discarded. And now
I
Luce
think
could be
Luce is
waiting
just
on one.
trying to get out of here. Tempai, though, on the right, cutting the 5 mon, would be Shampon waiting 3-pin 2 mon. Would have to cut it into a Honitsu. I'd still just throw it. I don't see any reason not to take Tempai, and will, and I assume this will get called. It doesn't, okay?
There's the Chun.
It wouldn't necessarily help the shapes that much to call the 5 mon, but I think I'd still do it anyway just to signal. Well,
Oh, he picks
okay,
up the
doesn't
other
matter.
Chun.
The Sumo and the Chun, and that'll be the weird 1600 all hand.
For 4,800 for Kaz. Which is not too shabby. That's third
Yeah,
place.
and has another hand and is already Ishan 10 for Richie Pinfu. You'd love to add a 2-3-4 Sanchiku or something in here, but you're going to take anything you can get. On the right, you have awkward pairs. Otherwise, you'd love the 789 Sanchiku, but with Adora, anything's good enough. Across the way, feels like a pretty standard hand. You're just not seeing any value yet. On the left, ugh, just no. There are
I
paths to
mean,
turning that into something useful, but they're a long way off. That's about the best style you could have drawn, though.
you do have a Dora, so it is not entirely trash. It's trash with a tiny speck of gold on top.
Well, the other problem is you're going to need the 8-pin, and it's starting to get held up as it is the door indicator and 2 in Simon's hand. But the alternative is draw a second door, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it.
That's also a decent pickup for Luce. Able to drop the 1.
Meanwhile, we're Ishan 10 on the right for Simon for what would be Ricci Dora.
And still Ishan 10 for Kaz, I believe.
Kaz has not gotten anything. And, well, okay, there you go, Ricci.
Oh.
Just as I say something, there it is. Ricci Pinfu waiting on 2-5. The 5 is completely dead. The 2 is completely live.
Best of both worlds. Suppose one world is not one you'd actually want to be in, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, Lewis decides not to call. The Haku says, this hand is not coming together. I'm just going to fold out safely.
Cushion like that, that's an easy call to make. Amy, meanwhile, well, kind of a rock and a
Amy's
hard place
Ishan
for Amy.
10. Yeah, I don't mind cutting the 9-pin pair, the 9-so pair, like especially here. I actually like it a lot, but the 4 is now safe, so we'll take the safety guaranteed this turn.
The 6 to show 1 in hand. Good pickup for Amy in this case.
And goes ahead and sees, well, I guess the 8's now 1 chance. I guess I can push it. Now it's no chance, but you wouldn't have known that when you were throwing it. That 1 looks a little suspicious to me. I would not throw that. I agree. Just continue to fold out correctly.
Same thing we're seeing with Luce.
And it's one of those things that isn't paid that much attention to. But if you're tracking Sumogiri, the 2-pin, and well, there's your Sumo, Ricci Sumo Pinfu. I say if you're tracking Sumogiri, if you're tracking the Sumogiri, the 2-pin and then the south, oftentimes that's the 2 locking in the shape of the Ryanman and then the safe south. Not always, but it can happen quite a bit. So I'm generally not going to trust anything around there. But we move to East 4-2, and you has another decent starting hand. You're really looking for the 79 Sanshoku, but you also have an Itsu chance and can connect to that Dora with the 3-pin Dora with that 4-pin in the hand. On the right, we have a Haku Call and a Dora in the hand as well. That's very much a call and go hand across the way. Very interesting shape. You could go Itsu, you could go Chinitsu even. We do have that Ryanman 7-8 so. Lots of options there. On the left, we have the Chun Call, and I believe that is already Ishunted. Yes, it is. Needs the 6 twice.
6 twice, yeah.
Well, it's 3-6 and 6-9. And a bit of a backfire there, having cut the 3. Of course, you're going to draw the 1 to connect to the 2 later. But yeah, we do see the Chinitsu shift across the way by Amy. When you're sitting at 300 points, I don't blame her at all for this.
Grab an instant Mongon if you can. Dropping the East, yeah, I think
there's your Tempai on the left, waiting on 3-6 for Chun Dora 1 or a Dora 2, as 3-pin is Dora.
There's the 6. Oh, and it's going to come right out.
I don't see how you get around that one. No. You can't think that someone's Tempai there anyway. And it's not like you have anything to defend with, even if you do. But that at least gets us to South Round.
And now Luce pulls farther than a Mongon away from Simon.
Well, Simon now has Dora 2 Yakuhai. So when the third one presumably comes out from Amy in a few turns, that will be your dealer Mongon right there. Rest of the shapes aren't bad either. On the right, yeah, the shapes are just kind of bad. You're looking to maybe turn into a Tanyao, maybe distant Sanshoku, but I'm not really seeing it. Across the way, you have the West pair, so I think that's a call and go hand. The rest of these shapes aren't great. And on the left, a whole bunch of pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Ryan Shanten for Chitoi, and really not much else there.
But yeah, good pickup for dealer here for this second race. Getting an
and Luce is going to go. Luce is going to go ahead and call the 1, 2, 3, signaling, "Hey, I'm probably a cheap hand as long as I don't have the Dora."
Which, as Simon knows, is probably not the case.
Right, but the issue here is it may cause Amy to withhold the Hatsu rather than have to face this off. Well, there's your Tempai waiting on 2-pin now for Shaw only. Just looking for that 2-pin here. And you're like, hey, the discard looks like Hinitsu. Oh, wait, it can't be. There was a Mon call.
Very true.
Now we see if Amy does push the Dora, because you're going to push, this is the time to do so, and says, yeah, let's not do this. Something looks very wrong here.
Well, the 5 was a little out of place, so I could see where you'd push that instead. Sort of with the 9 as well. Then again, the Hatsu is only going to get more and more dangerous as this.
When you're sitting at turn 9, if I'm sitting in Amy's position and made these plays, I've 100% decided that is my final weight. That either I'm pairing it up or we're going to go Tonki on it. It is never leaving my hand.
Well, still one Hatsu unaccounted for.
And now we see an upgrade on the shape for Luce. Now, doesn't like it. Could have waited on... Oh, I think that's just it. Okay, I guess it wouldn't have been an upgrade. Wait. That will shut down this potentially explosive dealer hand. And Luce extends the lead. And we move to South 2.
There we go. Pulling away even more... Well, just about a dealer's Mongon now.
Yeah, dealer Mongon, but that was Simon's last dealer turn, so you're going to have to get a big sumo on Luce's dealer turn, most likely. But Amy here has a Pinfu type hand, not much value. Now you have a Chun pair, maybe just call. Try and get another dealer turn. You're not seeing much value no matter what you do here. On the right, we see the double south pair. I assume that's going to get pwned, and it is. That is already double south. You would expect the idea here is to add Dora and potentially Sanshoku with it. Across the way, looks like an Ipeco and lower pin. And the rest of the shapes aren't great, but you'll take them. On the left, yeah, it's okay. I guess you have a potential Ipeco and upper Mon, but the rest of his hand leaves a lot to be desired. Ooh, and there's a Dora. Bit of a backfire for Amy. Having cut the 2, which was going to connect to the Dora, but now has that Dora. So we'll be looking to pair that up most likely.
2 doors better than 1. Depending on the hand you're going for, of course.
Yeah, and now we have the option. Well, if the Dora does come out, you cut the 3. Now you have Chanta, double south Dora. And you're waiting on that 1 pin, which looks pretty safe against that hand. I'd even switch to the 9. That 9 looks so safe right here.
Yeah.
And the 1 looks pretty safe too, and it may just come out here. I think Kaz is going to throw it next turn.
Yeah. At least now's the time to.
Okay, gets rid of the 8 that kind of sticks out for now.
Could be hanging on to the 1s as the pair, perhaps.
Certainly possible. Cannot take that Haku. It would be Flurry 10. South is 100% safe.
5 is also
Uh-oh. Ooh, okay. Good dodge there. Could even switch to the 9, and we'll do so. Just changing that Chanta.
Oh, there's the other 9.
But that fits into the hand nicely, so the 9s are completely locked up. They're never coming out.
No. Oh, but that 4 is a nice pickup. Now you're waiting on the 4 or the 1.
You do lose out on the Chanta this way.
True. Now we have 10 pi for Amy, 6 pin and Chun. But there's the 1.
The win.
For double
it is
south,
3,900, but it is also a direct hit on Simon. So Luce effectively has this game locked up, barring a huge sumo here by Simon.
Which can happen. We've seen that happen tonight.
Well, I think Luce is by far has the huge advantage here with this hand. East, which you just call the Yakuhai, great shapes elsewhere. Simon looking to go cheap here as well. On the right, looks like a Ricci Pinfu hand. I don't really, maybe an Ipeco. You have 2 options in So. Maybe even a Chitoi hand now. I don't think I like the 9-mon cut, but Kaz looking for the Tanya on top of everything. As mentioned earlier, the Call of the West by Simon. Just looking to get this hand over and done with. On the left, you have 2 Dora. This is a Sunanko / Suanko hand.
Ooh, yeah. Meanwhile, Luce was drawing really great until that 6, so it just kind of makes you scratch your head and think about which direction you want this hand to go in.
Well, now it has a lot of options. A bit unfortunate because now you'd be looking at the Sanshoku if you'd cut the 5 So.
Not that it's any particular loss when you're sitting at 64,000.
I don't know. I like Ricci Sanshoku a lot more than East only.
Well, fair. Not going to say no to more points. Amy's hand, though, starting to pick up some steam as well.
Interesting cutting the East there instead of the 8 pin. I definitely cut the 8. You've given up perfect Ishanten here for a Tanyao that I don't even like that much. Yeah, Dama is waiting on the 7 pin. I'd much rather have either Ricci with the 4/7 weight or even Champon with the 5 pin East weight.
One of the 7s you already know is locked up in a meld.
Well, across the way, we now see Tempai on the 2/5.
5 is dead, but there's 2
5's dead.
Left.
And 2 is Dora, so that's obviously the one you'd prefer anyway.
Good hedge.
Well, there's it is. Kaz has not been throwing these most of the... Yeah, gets around it. Kaz has been pretty disciplined on the defensive end through the games we've seen.
Yeah. Just really taking wave after wave of nasty Tsumos tonight.
Uh-oh. And that 7 may come out from Amy if that hand improves.
It's getting there.
Oh, well, this is Tempai. You can Ricci, and I think I would with 2 Dora. Yeah, just go ahead and takes the Ricci here. This is a Ricci Dora 2, Sananko on Sumo.
2-pin 4 Mon are the weight tiles here.
And the 2-pin is still live. Well, no, there's 1 in a hand. So 1 left. The 4 Mon has 1 left.
So it's a slim draw, and as you see, Amy does go below 0 with that Ricci. But that's perfectly fine to do.
Diamond may cut 9 so here. 5's pretty scary, but goes ahead and pushes it anyway. I don't really like pushing for this 1,000 points. I don't think it's worth that much to me.
And we're coming to the end of the hand, so just probably trying to play it safe. Coast this one to the finish.
Will be rewarded with Tempai payments, though. And there's the last 4 Mon. Missed it by 1 turn.
Womp womp.
Well, but it does put Amy within Mongon range of Kaz going into last here.
Good way to give up dealer, especially when we saw what happened when you can't quite give up dealer on your own terms like that.
Well, it's all last dealer has, well, not a great hand. You're looking to turn into a 789 Sanshku, but it's a long way off. I mean, even Junchan potentially. On the right, there's a distant 456 Sanshoku, not much else. Across the way, it looks like a much more standard Pinfu hand. And on the left, feels like a fairly standard Pinfu hand. But you have 2 Dora on the left, so that's probably the hand to watch. Although dealer is now already Ishan 10. Just no value yet.
Well, you might bring this one home.
You are Tempai here, so the question is how greedy do you want to be? And I just throw the stick in here. Instead, Damas, if the 9 is drawn, this will very likely be a Furitan Ricci on the 4 Mon, aiming for Ricci Junchan Dora. Or Ricci Sumo Junchan.
If you pick up the 1 Mon,
ooh. Well, that's an interesting draw.
But then you'd have to give up your pair, and he's going to do that.
Well, the pair is probably the 9 so at this point.
Okay. I can. Oh! Tough break.
Yep.
Oh, man.
But also by losing the pair here, you can't really end up in that 4-10 state anymore. Oh, and there's your Sanshoku. Just everything going wrong for Kaz in this hand.
Yeah, I would just throw the stick and just hope for a better shot next round.
Well, you're not Tempai anymore, so you can't just throw the stick in.
Oh, when that happens.
Yeah. And I like dealer Ricci, Domi. It's good enough. It's not good, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's something that you're going to run into a lot is you have to be willing to take what the game gives you. You can see people pull off fancy maneuvers and get some monster hands, but a lot of the time you just have to accept that the game is not letting you do what you want.
For every one of those fancy maneuvers, you see something like we're seeing right now in Kaz's hand, where the wall is just punishing you at every turn. So the wall,
it's so tilting. It's so tilting to be in this situation.
Absolutely. Especially on all last, deep third. Still no sign of the 1. You do see 1 discarded. Would like to see 1 in this hand.
Still stuck on that Ishan 10 on the left for loose, looking for that Pinfu Dora 2. I imagine if Tempai has reached it, will still be Dama. I mean, if I drew the 5, I'd definitely reach even with that lead. Well, here's your Tempai. Can Ricci waiting on Dora. We'll just Dama waiting on Dora. I don't like this at all.
No.
Because no one's throwing it. You're
Yeah.
just basically saying, I don't want to put the 1,000 in the middle.
Which, why not? I mean,
Yeah, Ricci, Sumo, Dora, that's 6,000 right there. And you have the 1,300 in the middle to think about, potentially Ura. There are all sorts of reasons to just throw it out here. Even if there is 1-7 in the wall, which there is, to me, it's still a positive play to just throw the stick in. Now, you
yeah.
could have seen a call for Tempai there by Loose, did not do so. Holding out hopes for that Dora 2 to come together. And there is a call for Ishanten on the right. I just take the 4E10, cutting the 9 here. The 8 could deal in, yeah. So it is 4E10 with no Yaku. But if your 4E10 closed, that means Sumo is your Yaku.
Possibly Hote.
Cannot, because you'd be 4E10.
Oh, right.
Khan?
No.
Boo! Oh, come on. We want to see the Khan.
I want to know what the Uradora.
Rinshan.
Well, next
Yeah.
Rinshan Dora, whatever. Yeah. The next
Yeah.
flip one. That's what I'm trying to say.
And I will knock Amy under 0, but Kaz does end up getting 3,000 points from all that and gets a much better starting end here. Maybe Honitsu, you do have a door in this hand otherwise. You have the Haku pair, so there's your value. On the right, looks like I don't know, just a bunch of pairs, just not much value. I don't think you Cheetoy with this now. Maybe to Peiko if you draw like 3-pin. Across the way, looks like maybe 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku is your best value. I'd call it going all out. I like the Honitsu play here. Maybe cut the 9 first, because if you pair the 8, then you're fine with Dora 2. But I definitely would have kept the South and cut the 9 there, regardless. And on the left, we have looks like a Pinfu type hand, but a slow one.
Especially against a fast one like we're seeing in Kaz right now. Now it's a matter for Kaz of just waiting for the Sozu to come out.
That is Ishanten for Cheetoy on the right, but no value.
You know, I think he might be hanging on to the 8-9 in case he's got a bail and just go wait on a 7 instead.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't want to have tile Dora and a tile near Dora as my bailing tiles.
True.
That's something I always to think about for the South as well, is it's a reasonably safe tile if you do end up in a rough situation. Oh, well, there you go. There's your Tempai. You're like, wow, I got the cheapest possible thing to come.
There you go.
So we'll be
Wins a
one
win.
on, but there is 1,600 in the middle, and there it is.
And you immediately grab it. For
So it'll be
anybody's really
3,100, much better than you were expecting when you looked at it after that last draw, but you'll take it. You feel so much that there was, well, I could get a whole lot more, but especially when you lock in that 6-8 shape, you've not completely given up on Hoinitsu, but you're not really aiming for it. So just take what the game gives you, and Cause has another dealer turn and is rewarded with not much. A bunch of good floaters and Adora, but Tanya seems a long way away. You're going to have to pair up one of those Yakuhai and call, most likely. On the right, that is already Ishanten, but would be Richinomi. Across the way, that is already Ishanten as well and would be Richinomi. And on the left, looking for the Itsu in So and already Rian Shanten. So a bunch of relatively fast hands.
Indeed, it'll be a race here.
Oh, there's Ishanten on the left looking for that Itsu. And I mean, you're in first place. I'd even call the 1-pin if it came out.
Yeah, just steer this to the end. 3 so accounted for just yet. Good shapes continuing to develop for the dealer. And picks up another Dora. That might...
Yeah, Dora Yakuhai. So that's your new strategy now is just try and get the last one, call it, and there's your dealer Mongon. Because again, you're still fighting for a chance to get back towards 30K. Ooh, interesting draw with the 3. I'd cut the 8-pin pair.
Goes with the
I
4
don't
Mon
like
pair
the. I
instead.
do not like the 4 there. Now you just have an overlapping shape in Mon. If you're going to cut a Mon tile, go with the 6-7.
But now we have 10 pi for loose.
Yeah, it
on
does
the 3
call. Well,
so.
not the 1, but it calls the 4, so the same effect. There's your Dora. Easy call. This should not have taken as long as it did to call. You definitely cut the 6-7 because the. Oh, I don't like this at all. Well, the 2-5-8 are all kind of bad no matter what you do. So I guess not quite as bad. I missed one of the 2s out on the board. Oh, okay. There are 3 2s on the board versus 1, 2, 8. So I guess this is fine. I just miscounted the number of 2s. They're all Sumagear. I just want the. Well, there's your 6, which does not deal into a hand. And now we have dealer Tempai waiting on 5-8.
Yeah,
oh, that's Tempai on the right as well.
Ooh. All coming
Ricci
together at
the
once.
8. That's what I do. Ricci the 8.
There you go.
That's what'll be it. And there's the Ipatsu.
Oh.
Ricci Ipatsu. And the Oradora, and just your cheap little Rishi Nomi turns into a 5200, and then all that stuff in the middle. But the big winner ultimately is Loose with 47.2. I believe that'll jump Loose all the way to the top of ARML. We're still early in session 1, of course. Simon with a plus 28 should bring him pretty close to 0. And at 1.9, that's pretty close to 0. Cause takes a rough third there, but survives still. Plenty of time left, and Amy takes the big hit here. Had a really strong East 1 in the last game and just couldn't get it together here, and will end up with a minus 54.4, dropping into the demotion zone.
Well, I tell you what, Cora. After a game like that, I would be just fine with anywhere I end up in these 4 spots. I mean, this could have gone a whole lot more. It looks like the big bombs were distributed fairly evenly, and like you said, it's still the beginning. Plenty of time to turn things around or perhaps backwards in some cases.
Let's see. I think there is another B3 game, or maybe a B2 game, given those names. Do you want to jump in?
Might as well see what's going on.
Okay, let's see it.
Especially if you're in the Pacific time zone. There we go. These are names I'm not totally familiar with. Then again, B3 has a lot of new players. B2.
Yeah, this is Jeff had been just dominated B3 last season. Jonathan, who just kind of snuck in, actually was a sub in A1 for a season when there was a unexpected hiatus. Christopher's been in the scene for a while, and Zach, I think I should know Zach, but I don't recognize it immediately.
I was impressed with how tight-knit the Mahjong community is, really. Then you get newcomers every so often, but it's nice to welcome them in.
Now, speaking of welcoming in, there's a nice little Ricci when we walk in. This is by Christopher, I believe. It is a Ricci Pinfu Doro waiting on 6-9. We also have a Tempai on the left for 2-5 so. And that 6-9 is actually pretty terrible because there's a pawn of it and 3 6s in hand, so 2 outs left.
Looking at these scores, looks like a pretty even match heading into South 2, the pretty ending stages of this game.
We see a Dora drawn on the left. Doesn't want any part of throwing that.
Absolutely. 1 in dealer's hand.
Yeah, that's Zach on the left. Christopher in front of us. On the right is Jeff, and across from us is Jonathan. There's a Ricci on the right. That is a Ricci Pinfudora as well, also waiting on 6-9.
Really, the two hands look almost the same. It's kind of crazy. Except for Sozu in the dealer's hand.
And we see on the left, looking towards a shift to Toy Toy for Zach, but we'll need to get a 6, a 2, or a 5. And I imagine that will not ever throw the door again. We know the Tumon is actually dead, so unlikely to see that improve. See a push towards K10 for Jonathan, and now reaches it. That is actually a Sun Unko.
Yeah.
That is Tempai can win on the Tumon should it ever come out on the left. Now, I don't see it ever doing so, but that is a Yaku. The very rare open Sun Unko with a cheat.
That's how it works sometimes, but it'll be 3 players in Tenpai to finish us out, as South 2 continues. I don't believe dealer actually changed, but okay, we're refreshing.
Yeah,
And
dealer
here we
is
go.
Jeff here with the East pair and Adora. Probably just a call and go is good enough. On the right, that is an amazing starting. That is already Ishunten for Ricci Haku. Could call for Tempai, but you don't, and instead you draw it yourself. Ooh, I think I would have just taken the Ricci, but instead going for the very greedy Honitsu.
We see dealer calling the Easts here.
And dealer Ishunten looking to pull that in with the Dora as well in the hand, but you're looking at that gigantic pot and saying, well, how can I get some of that? Ooh, that's a good weight too. I'd reach you this as well. Great weight. Oh, no, 4010. Never mind. You can't take it.
Not quite, yeah. Especially with those two 9-Sos. You still have one of. The Sos just keep wanting to get in your hand there. Yeah, the Honitsu just not quite working out. But
On
so is
for
the
Fu
Honitsu.
here, and will do so.
There we go.
Now, it does make the dealer's hand very expensive all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah. 2 pin.
I think you just cut the Dora, but that's fine. And there's going to deal in.
Oh,
And
nice
that is
move.
I think that is ultimately the big punishment for not just taking the reach to begin with, but Jeff gets a huge hand here with 5,800 and all that in the middle. So Jeff now in a much better position, still in second place, but another dealer turn. A lot of value here, but even a very distant Shosushi.
Yeah. Well, look at this hand. A lot of wins.
So about Shosushi, not quite so distant anymore. Like, I'm absolutely thinking it here. The West will come out here. You'll call that. At least I assume the West comes out here. Do we freeze, or is there just taking a bit? There it is.
There's the West. Little choppy, but there it is. Wow. Heading on the South, one of them has been dropped. And a little bit laggy on our screen right now, but yeah. South's out.
We talked about the rest of these hands, but on the right we have Ishunten for Ipeco, Ricci Ipeco Dora across the way. Looks like a standard Pinfu hand, although you have 2 pairs, so I guess Ricci would be Ricci Nomi Tempai right now. Doesn't really. I would throw the 5 pin. We'll take the Dama for now. On the left we have.
Ooh, picking up
that's
the
already
Ishunten.
Ooh, oh my goodness. On the left, we have an Ishunten as well for Ricci Pinfu. But there is our Tempai across the way. And maybe realize it here, but sitting in that Suji trap waiting for that 2 pin to come out.
There's the South drawn.
Yeah, but it's not going to come out. It probably comes out right now. And then you're not ready for it. Oh my goodness. It's held for now. Oh, and 2 may come out as Ipatsu.
Which is honestly the better scenario at this point.
No, just throw the 6 for now. Not yet. Jeff is absolutely going to push anything here.
Yeah.
He's sitting in Yakuman Ishanten, and a pretty good Yakuman Ishanten as well.
Yeah. Great chances here. You're going to run over them all like a big evil taxi.
Well, the 2 pin is only in hands, and the 1 so is 1 left in the wall.
Good for.
Oh, you can't. You can't do. Oh,
no. Well, you are dealer, so he's maybe thinking.
Well, you didn't want to throw the door off. That was the thinking.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. 3 out of 4 wins. Sadly, you don't get a consolation Yaku for that, but
Nope. You don't even have a pair yet. You can't use East as your pair because you have a Yaku.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I mean, if you get Tempai, you just push the 5 anyway, and then wait on the 4.
Yeah, time is running out, unfortunately.
He cut the 5. That's exactly what
There you
happened.
go.
Tempai waiting on the 4. There is 1 of those left.
Not as important when you just kind of want to, cut your losses and just take the draw. That 6 would have helped just a minute ago.
Womp, womp. So even with the promise at the start, does get the 1500, and we'll have another South 2 dealer turn. But we were all looking for the excitement, but just didn't get there. That's what often happens, especially with shapes that require. You have to remember, Shosushi requires 4 shapes, 3 of which are completed. It's so hard to put together. But here actually had a chance and just couldn't get that run. What you would think is the easiest part of the hand, couldn't get that run filled.
Right.
But regardless, we are in South
tied
2
for the lead.
4. South 2-4. Dealer has Adora, also potential Tanya, maybe Sanjiku with the 5-6-7. On the right, looks like a Pinfu Tanya type hand. Across the way, looks like a 7-8-9 Sanshoku, and also has a floating 1 Sodora. On the left, we have maybe an Itsu in So, but feels kind of slow.
Dealer also with one of those floating 1 Sodoras. But now it's not quite so floating.
Yeah, I'd be fine with this. You also have the potential to turn this into other shapes. The 4-so isn't a bad draw. Confirmed Tanya. Now I have a 3-4-5 Sanshoku as an option. But on the right, Jonathan says, okay, I've had enough of this. And just goes for the open Tanya, but still a long way off.
There you go. Not a bad move here. And dealer calling Pone on the 6th.
Speaking of open Tanya.
Yeah.
That 7th going to be an easy call here. Now the question is, you go Itsu or Sanshoku. Goes for the Sanshoku. Of course, the 7-pin will do no good for this hand. Dealer is now Tempai, waiting on 3-so, 4-so.
And across, we've got an open Chanta.
And that 4 is going to come. That 4 is going to come right out, so it's not going to matter.
Yeah. Quick and easy.
Jonathan does jump into 3rd place with that.
Yep, thanks to a pretty hefty pot in the middle. Turns your cheap hands into something a little bit more.
Well, Dura has a pretty good starting in here. Great shapes. You have a floating Dora, South Yakuhai you can call. So feeling pretty good there. On the right, great shapes as well, just no value yet. Across the way, we see the West called, also can call the Green Dragon. So fast, not a ton of value, but good enough. And on the left, well, that's probably the worst hand of the bunch. Ooh, big draw there for dealer. A second Dora. You can call the South. Its hand also has a ton of value. You can even just call the 9-so if it comes out.
Edge Dora, but he's going to make it work this time.
Well, you're generally not that worried about your Edge Dora if you have a Yakuai pair.
That's also true. And another pair there with the Force Pin.
Yeah, you don't feel good about 4 pairs of the hand like this because you're never going Chi-Toy unless you're just
Right.
absolutely forced to.
The
Yeah,
wall
not
could
even
just have
tempted
that
for a
trick up the
second
sleeve.
to connect to that 7 to the 799. Wants the 2 Dora.
Hmm.
Cross the way Ishan 10, but will not be able to use the Hatsu. I would absolutely pull in that 8 mon. You have so many pairs, and that completes one of your shapes. You're only really concerned about someone else having the other South pair.
There's another pair.
Oh,
And you
doesn't
drop
believe
another
in the
pair.
Chi-Toy Ishan 10.
Hmm.
I think I would have cut the 6 mon instead. Oh, and now you'd be Chi-Toy Tenpai.
Oh, no. We've seen that so many times tonight.
But
That
just
lays
the
a 5
cheap
mon.
deal in, a nice little 1,000 points, and a Tanya will end it all. I moved all last with Jeff jumping into first place.
By just that 1,000 points, mind you.
Exactly 1,000. If Christopher wins 1,000 points on a Roan, will be a split first. But Dealer here looks much more likely to win the hand with 2 completed runs, great Shape Saber, and a pair of Haku. On the right, we see a South pair, so that's very likely just going to be called, but it's also Dora, so it may be difficult to get it.
Indeed.
And kind of for that reason, I think I would have cut the 6-so instead and kept my options open to just go Chanta.
We've got 5
Yes, you're
pairs
taking
of
an efficiency hit, but you have better options elsewhere. And yeah, as you were saying, across the way, 5 pairs for the Chi-Toy for Jeff, and you could Dama, you could Ricci with that. Ooh, I think I like that West a lot. I definitely would have kept that. I don't really want to go a conventional hand with this. On the left, we have a Rian Shun 10, I believe, for Ricci Pinfu, but that Pinfu requires a 6 mon, or I guess pairing up one of the others.
Dealer, meanwhile.
Well, there's your 6 mon. I think the Dora
Oh.
comes out here. I think he gets called too. Oh no, just keeps it for now.
Dropping the extra 3 pin instead, which could have been called by Zach here. But picks it up himself.
Ooh. Well, you're Tenpai now. The question is, how greedy do you want to be? And the answer is, we'll just take it. I might have cut the 2 mon and aimed for Sanshoku.
I think it's a... Well, you have a good shot at getting into third with this hand.
It would have been it. That would have been the goods.
Of course. But this wall just not going to work with that tonight. 3 and the 6 now. One of the 3s just picked up. It's going to be an Anko across the table.
3 is now completely dead. The 6 still has 2 on the wall.
And
and there we get the pair up of the South. Does manage to complete it. That is Ricci, Dora 2, possibly Peiko, also waiting on 3-6. So if Christopher ever pushes that 6, it's going to be very expensive.
Wow. For a double Roan. Dealer getting the 6s of a different kind.
Really, that's the question, is where are the 6-so? We know there are 2 left somewhere in that wall, whether they be in the live wall or dead wall.
13 tiles left. So we're likely to see it soon, if it's there at all.
Good Chi for Tenpai, but then would deal into the double Roan.
And
there it is!
Roan. Ricci, Peiko, Dora 2. That's for Josh's hand.
That's going to be Jonathan jumping up, and you see Zach there with the 2,000 hand with the Ricci Nomi, but that means that the game does not end, and Jonathan is now within 1,000 points. So effectively, you have two people switching positions.
Yeah.
Although you also have the side effect of Zach getting very close, still in fourth, but very close now, and is
Yeah.
rewarded with a not particularly great hand.
Yeah.
All sorts of useless honors, the floating one, penchant. It's just it's just bad. On the right, we have a bunch of pairs. Maybe you go Tanya with it. Maybe you go Toy Toy. Maybe you go Cheat Toy. Across the way, similarly, a bunch of pairs. The shapes aren't great. And on the left, a bunch of floaters. There are some symbols of shapes, but all these hands are bad.
Yeah. It's going to be a race of a bunch of broken down, rusty cars, essentially.
The question is, who draws what they need first? Because that's the upside of having a garbage hand is you can accept so many more improvements.
Right. And dealer picking up the 3-so there will finish off one shape at the very least.
Yeah, dealer's hand starting to look like a pin fu
Mm.
type hand. Maybe a 4, 5, 6 sun should go in there. But I think the fastest hand is still the one on the right, which could just be a Tanya.
Mm. Tanya with an Anko already locked. Not a bad state of affairs there. 2 Mon would help a little bit. Hanging on to that Dora North.
Now, it's keeping the option open to wait on North for Cheat Toy. Because it very much looks like a pair-based hand. Ooh, and there goes the first one, though. And yeah, as mentioned, there's your pair-based hand. But now that one of those Norths come out, you're expecting a third one to come out here from Jonathan. I don't like the 6. I would absolutely be cutting the Dora there. Because I just want to call and go and lock up first place.
And 6 connects to so much more.
Yes.
Rather than one other tile that would work with the North.
And it's just stuck on needing that Hellweight Dora. And you see the 8-so on the right for Christopher, cutting the... just locking in on Cheat Toy. I don't think I would have gone that way, but we'll see if it works out.
Interesting pickup for the dealer. Gonna put it back, but that gave you some options at least.
Oh, there's a really rough backfire for Christopher on the right. Then you could have had Ipeco. This could actually be Tempai for Ricci, possibly Ipeco.
And there goes the last North.
Yeah, well, at this point, it's completely useless.
Yeah.
And call across the way for just Tempai, for Tanyao. Ishanten still. Well, there's your Cheat Toy Tempai on the right. Ricci's immediately on the 9 Mon. Oh, no, on the 9 Mon, looking for the 1 Mon, which is completely
dead as of that.
Never dead, never coming out. Nah. Oh, we're going to see a chase from dealer probably.
Here we go. Everyone's car is getting reassembled now, and now it's off to the races.
Oh, that would be a Patsu if it gets thrown. Or not a Patsu, that'd be the Tanya deal. My bad. But that is the cheapest hand, and you're actually fine with that, especially considering how things were. But the winner here will be Jeff with 24 plus 24, Jonathan with 8.7, Christopher barely hanging on with minus 11.3, and Zach taking the fourth with minus 21.4. Couldn't complete that Ricci in the South 4.
Kind of nice to wind down with a more, I don't know if subdued is the right word, but just a kind of a chiller game, I guess, you know? Not as many huge hands, but still quite a lead from Evil Tax.
Well, I mean, that last hand was pretty exciting. Nothing. All of a sudden, everyone ready.
Boom! Yeah. And there you go. And with 2 games in, the leaderboard is updated. Of course, still a lot of players in B2 yet to play, but Jonathan and Jeff staying just out of demotion. Zach and Christopher in the middle of the promotion zone.
Still a long way to go, though. Of course, B2, you're seeing 7 guaranteed promotion spots. There may be more depending on who takes a hiatus in B1 next season. But if you want to be in that top 7 and guarantee your spot, that is the goal, but a long way to go. As mentioned, a whole bunch more games in this group, this division specifically, and they only have 3 more days, so expect a whole lot of action coming up.
And I know we'll be having a
And
broadcast tomorrow night that I will be hosting along with Tucker. So stick around for that tomorrow night.
all right, so I think this is about the time when we wrap it up. Of course, the big highlight, as far as I'm concerned, was that big sumo by Luce with the Aura 3. Even
Yeah.
though Amy had completely controlled the table up until then, the gigantic comeback, a lot of action. You're going
Mm,
to see all that stuff and more as you follow us here on American Ricci. You can check out the website, AmericanRicci.org. Follow us on Twitter. Hit follow here on Twitch, or check out our YouTube with tinyurl.com/ARMLYT. So, any closing thoughts, Blaine?
well, it's just a crazy season off to a pretty crazy start, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Of course, as he showed where you can follow us and keep up with us through this whole season. And you can keep up with me and my own personal Mahjong journey, including my recent trial of Roan Roan, which went interestingly, on my Twitter at SB Singletary. I'll also be starting up some streams here on Twitch pretty soon at twitch.tv/Smawman.
All right, then. For Blaine, this is Korak in the American Ricci Mahjong League signing off. Have a good night, everyone.